Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 0th episode of Mage the Ascension, the Victorian Age. I'm Kelly. I'm your storyteller for this hopefully epic adventure, and I'm very excited to be here because in this episode we get to talk about the game. We get to wear normal clothes because that's not going to be a thing for the next Saturdays that we're doing this. And if you are wondering, Jen and I, coincidentally tonight, both wore our commemorative Mage the Ascension Technocracy live-action role-playing shirts that we had made up for the LARP that we ran. This is a tour shirt because it was an alternate reality game with all of the places we went across the multiverse on the back. These are limited edition, although I'm going to talk to Michael about that. We're going to find something out.
Cool. I could have swapped out for it. I just didn't realize.
Yeah, so could have I, but I was like, well, then Robin would be kind of left on her own without getting to join in, so.
All right.
It's fine, guys. Don't worry. Don't include. It's fine.
Right. Ooh, there we go. I'll move that to the side. All right. So, folks, tonight is not actually a game. Tonight is where we're going to talk about the game. We're going to get you hyped for it, and we're going to do a little bit of work so that you know who we are going into this and what we do. So, I actually, for once in my ADD-addled life, legitimate. It's not a euphemism or a joke for me. I'm actually super ADD. I made a list of things that we're going to cover tonight. So, first of all,
I made him make a list.
Jen made me. Jen has been my manager many times in life. First of all, I want to say welcome because step one is greeting. So, welcome to Mage the Ascension, the Victorian Era. I'm Kelly. I'm the storyteller. I use he and him pronouns. And tonight, I am going to be running us through this. I'm also going to be enjoying the oldest soda that is still in existence in diet form because COVID calories. But yeah, I did a bunch of research on soda pop for this as well. So Dr. Pepper predates Coke. Suck on that. Coke. Not sponsored. With that, I'm going to go through the list as we have them here. And what I want you to do is introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll get to your characters in a bit. So I'm going to start off with Christine.
Okay. Well, hello, I'm Christine. I use she, her pronouns. I stream in a lot of stuff on Dork Tales, and I have my own channel where I play Guild Wars.
Nice.
I don't know. What else do you want us to say about ourselves? We didn't really prep for this.
Well, you're not prepping for anything. We're doing it live. We're going in raw. Well, first off, let's
you can catch me on such things as Shards of Nirn and Rime of the Frost Maiden.
There we go.
Reign of Emeries.
All right, Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. And yeah, I stream on Dork Tales a lot in various games, such as Reign of Emeries, Werewolf, The Bitches of Brewery Park, the Shards of Nirn, and also I stream on my own channel, which is Paradoxical Ghoul here on Twitch. I variety stream some Guild Wars 2, some other stuff, most recently Final Fantasy 15. And yeah, that's me.
Nice. I'm going to snake around and have Jen go next.
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Jen, and I don't stream a ton on Dork Tales, mostly because I'm busy.
And an introvert.
And an introvert, and streaming is very tiring for me. But I love Mage, so that's why I came back for this.
It was a wonderful carrot.
Yes. Come on. A little bit, yeah. But I have been in Bitches of Brewery Park as well, and a couple of the one-shots through Extra Life and stuff like that. So
fantastic. And finally, the one of the more prominent members on the channel as well, but our mage baby is Robin. Hi, Robin.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I am going in very raw to this tonight. And all you people that may have found Dork Tales through D&D and have never really watched or know how to play World of Darkness, you're gonna learn with me, because this is all new with me too. So hey, we can learn together, because this is gonna be great. I'm super excited about it. But I am Robin. I use she, they pronouns, and you can find me on shows such as Rime of the Frost Maiden, Reign of Emeries, Ghost of Saltmarsh.
You're in like all but 2 games, so it's yeah.
Yeah. I weaseled my way in.
It's great.
It's
I love
great.
weasels. They're great.
And you
okay,
can find
so
me at Second Gen Gamer on Twitch as well.
nice. All right, so that's the who we are and what do we do.
And creeping the beginning of my streams sometimes too.
This is true.
Yeah.
Just to call out Amy.
Yeah.
So,
Rogue Stealth.
if you've never heard of Mage the Ascension, it is, without a doubt, probably my favorite role-playing game of all time. I've played a lot of role-playing games, actually, Mage was the first campaign that I ever played. We call them Chronicles in the World of Darkness because it sounds fancier. It was the first one that I ever played, aside from like a pair of Shadowrun games that really were weird. It's the first ongoing thing I ever played, and was the first thing that I ever ran as a live action game. Really, I've played it for about 20 years now. I have a deep and abiding love for it. But that doesn't tell you anything about what the game is. So, Mage the Ascension is a game set in the World of Darkness, which is a world very similar to ours, although darker, one might expect. Everything that you think about our world, every fear that you have in the corner of your minds, every bump in the night, every shadow that moves when you're walking down a deserted street, might have something in it in this world. In this world, the supernatural is real, but they stay hidden from the eyes and minds of humanity. For what better way to be a wolf among the sheep than for the sheep to not know you exist? Mage is the most human of all the World of Darkness games. You've probably heard of games like Vampire the Masquerade, also set in the same world. Werewolf the Apocalypse, also set in the same world. A number are. Mage the Ascension is a game about people. It's about people and what they believe. In Mage, our characters are going to be playing people who have experienced a phenomenon called the Awakening. The Awakening is a moment that jars something inside of their psyche or soul awake to the possibility of infinite reality. Of course, human minds are pretty fragile, so when you do this, when a person undergoes an awakening, either through stress or epiphany, not dissimilar to the way that mutant powers come about inside of the X-Men comics, for a quick touchstone, humans are really bad at thinking that they can do anything they put their minds to. In fact, any time that I've ever had someone tell me that in real life, be it a parent, be it a guidance counselor, I have not believed it. And I doubt many of you have as well. Now, when someone said that I could be very good at something, or I could be an A student, or a good dungeon master, I believe that. I'll funnel that belief that I can do anything through small, selective practices, like being the best Tetris player. Humans inside of Mage are no different. That brief epiphany that the universe is malleable to one's will gets funneled through a belief system. Some people find religion. They believe that their prayers can heal the sick. Others find science and realize that they have found ways to change reality and through new and exciting technology that only they can get to work for some reason. Others call upon ancient traditions, old gods and spirits that much of the Western world has pushed away. Or perhaps they find the old ways of hermeticism and wizardry. Or maybe you just need to do kung fu hard enough to punch through a solid steel wall. Mages are people who believe something so strongly, according to their rigorous belief system, their paradigm, that they can make the impossible possible. And the best part about Mage is that while there are a few members of the world who are awakened, the majority of the world still remains in a dormant slumber. There are a few thousand mages on the planet. Maybe more, maybe less. There are 7 billion not mages. We call them sleepers, for the thing inside of them that would allow them to control the universe is sleeping, not absent. And even in that sleeping state, their instinctive, inherent beliefs form reality as we know it. Something called consensual reality. At a subconscious level, everyone believes that planes can fly, toasters toast bread, probably usually too much, and that gravity works, and that, for the time being, that the world is round. We kind of are working against that one right now, but... when you have 7 billion people with a fraction of the power of the awakened, that say, hey, dragons don't exist, probably, and you can't probably shoot fire out of your fingers without a flamethrower. And you do it in front of them. There's something called a paradox, because you just did something you can't do. And 7 billion sleeping souls say, excuse me? And bad things happen to you. Mage is a game where you can do everything you want, but you got to be sneaky about it. Mages are much more likely to do things like win scratcher tickets, or dodge a bullet at just the right moment, or, oh, it's just a flesh wound, or maybe they don't throw a fireball, but one Zippo lighter, isn't it just lucky that gas main was broken? Coincidental effects to change reality, avoid paradox, and survive to another day. The last thing that you need to know about Mage the Ascension is that it is a war about ideological differences. A few hundred years ago, magic was rampant. Everyone lived under the yoke of powerful wizards who could do whatever they want. Our myths are full of such horrible beings. And if you take their word for it, a group of heroes arose who decided that perhaps wizards and mages and mystics did not need to have this much control over the world. Perhaps they should return some power to the people. And so they did so through incremental spells that were given out to people in formula. Simple, repeatable steps that if you did them every time would usually produce the same effects. Rub 2 sticks together, dry, and you might create a spark. Mix these components and you'll create cement. And so, a group of mages that would become known as the Order of Reason began to give science to everyone. It wasn't a bad idea at first. But then skip ahead a few hundred years, and in the Victorian Era, this group, the Order of Reason, which had banded together all sorts of scientists, alchemists, and diplomats and politicians and spies, reforged themselves under Queen Victoria's reign into something called the Technocratic Union. Now, according to Mage the Ascension canon, what's known as the Ascension War between the technocracy, the Technocratic Union, the purveyors of science and order, think the Men in Black, think the Umbrella Corporation, think everyone who marches forward with progress, technology, and slick-ass business suits, versus the guys at the tarot shop, the heads at the bong shop, the sketchy martial arts dojo, and that weird acupuncture place in the dead mall. All of those memes and chakra readings and the wizards with the crystals at the Renaissance shop in that old part of downtown. An ideological war between those who believe that magic should survive and persist versus the people who can give you a polio vaccine and a flight from New York to Sydney, Australia in under 12 hours. Is it a wonder in the modern era of Mage the Ascension who might be winning that war? It's up for debate. Mage 20 is kind of shaking it up a bit, which is the 20th edition, and we are not in that era yet. So right now, this game is going to be playing with the Traditions, who are the de facto good guys from the setting, although every Technocracy fan is going to be calling me a liar right now.
The NWO no for life.
NWO no!
Syndicate is Windicate!
We have so many memes. We played Technocracy LARP for 3 years, just Technocracy.
My very first LARP World of Darkness role-playing character was an NWO agent. And I love her so much.
It was very cool.
Someone in there mentioned the Order. The Order is a great touchstone for several Mage shows. It's pretty great. Some things that you need to know. So politics, ethic, morality, and what Mage means to me is what I have on this list. So that's what Mage is as a game, okay? I believe that the ethics of Mage the Ascension are that you can do anything, and that this game is a very humanistic game. It's about being more human unless human, I guess, at the same time, than everyone else. It is about feeling things more acutely, seeing things and going places with that human sense of adventure and excitement. Okay? I want to explore that. There are some things that I do historically to my rules in this game that if you're a longtime Mage the Ascension fan, you may not like. To gain more power as a mage, you undergo vision quests called Seekings, for example. In the core, you're looking more for secrets about magic. I reroute that into secrets about yourself. You're learning about yourself as a person and how you connect to the universe. I like to keep it a little more metaphysical and a little more personal and introspective. Mage is a lot more about getting in touch with who you are in the grand scheme of things than what your magic is, in my opinion. But hey, Mage is a game about belief, so I'm not going to tell you what to think one way or another. That's just what we're going to do here. Morality, I think that Mage is also a game about doing everything that you can to help other people, but also trying to learn the limits of what that means. One of the things I always ask my players is, one of you has a child, for example. You know, say you have a son, okay? Say you have a child, actually. Let's not even bother gendering that. Say you have a 6-year-old kid, and they fall out of a tree that you told them not to climb and break their arm. They're not hurt badly. They just broke their arm. You have the power to heal them with a touch. Do you? What is the right answer? There is no right answer, in my opinion, but that broken arm is a valuable lesson. It's going to hurt, and it's going to take a while to heal, and they're not going to forget the time they fell out of that tree. But you're not always going to be there to heal that. What do you do? And this is the kind of question that Mage is about. Mage is a deeply personal game for me, and I love it to death, and will continue to love it for many, many years to come. So it is a deeply personal game, and I love it very much, and I hope that you will love it through the lens that I put out there. Apparently, I've been dragging Jen on these adventures for like 15 years now, so I must be doing something right, because she's picky. So... You're so picky. You're so picky. But I was like, you're like, oh, I'm really busy. And I'm like, I might run Mage. And you're like, all clear a night. You get one night a week. That's the most I can do. Yeah. So that is what Mage means to me. And that is what we're going to be doing when we talk about this. And with that, I want to talk about the characters, because we are actually going to be starting back in the Victorian era. We are not pinning it down when this is. It is sometime between 18, sometime between 1893 and 1897. Because I haven't decided, and I don't want to jinx it. So, yeah, I think I had something about the timeline here, and it was, oh yeah, that's on historical accuracy. That's point 10. So let's go ahead and meet the characters. Let's jump to that so you can meet everybody and see what we're doing. So who wants to go first? I'd like you all to give a rough pitch about your character and tell me like a really brief bit about what your tradition. So a mage's tradition is their belief structure and the organization that they belong to. I broke them down. Basically, your belief system, like, I'm a kung fu artist. I can meditate under waterfalls and dodge bullets, and I'm Keanu Reeves. And you are breathtaking. That would probably be a member of the Akashic Brotherhood or Akashayana, depending on which version you're using. We don't have one of those, as far as I know. But who wants to go a little bit and talk about themselves?
Sure.
Okay, Christine, tell me, you're gonna be a fun one, because this is the Victorian era, and your tradition doesn't exist yet.
I am playing Evelyn Taylor, and I am an Electrodyne engineer, which will become at some point the Society of Ether. However, the technocracy hasn't pissed us off enough yet to leave. So I'm going to be one of those forerunners of becoming the Society of Ether, because shit happens and I'm not happy about it.
Yep.
But Evelyn is a very curious mind and enjoys science and reason and learning stuff. So she is a scientist, and that is how her magic works. It's not magic, it's science. The Electrodyne engineers are fondly known sometimes as mad scientists. Doc Brown would probably be a Society of Ether member.
100%. I think that he is one of the main touchstones from those early books, especially the hair.
Yeah, so I'm really excited because Victorian era and I am a historian specifically of the British area, specifically the 17th long 18th century. So going right into the Victorian era. And pseudoscience was rife. There was so many things, and there's so much ability to be creative in this moment of how my magic works as Evelyn. So I am honestly on a couple university websites looking up articles that I have access to, finding Victorian articles on science and stuff like that, stuff I can look at and try and get some ideas from.
Look at Thomas Edison. He's still got that right behind you. The elephant thing alone is... Yeah. But yeah, so that's... And the Society of Ether believes in, of course, capital S, science.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you excited to play her?
Just, I think there's going to be a lot of ability to be interesting. If any of you have seen the show The Nevers, I've only watched the first episode, but my character is slightly based on the idea of, I believe, what was their name? Prudence?
Yeah, Prudence, the engineer.
Who's kind of the mad scientist engineer in that one. So a bit of that flavor. I'm interested in playing it because I do slightly methodically look at, okay, what did I play last time? Oh, physicals heavy? Not doing that this time. So I've done kind of a physicals heavy in a technocracy game. I've done a more socials heavy in a changeling game and that sort of thing. So this time I'm going more of a mentals heavy, but more of a social secondary. So instead of being like kick-ass, smart, Laura Croft type, I'm going to be smart and charming and charismatic. Not necessarily really good at physicals, but that's what my inventions are for.
It's true. Do you want to come back? I want to ask you a question about a couple of connected NPCs that you have, just so that I have their names down correctly. Did you have your husband's name? Because you're a good Victorian woman, so of course you're married.
Yes, I am married. One moment, let me just pull up my survey because it is in there.
Cool. And I make all of my players for Mage games complete a... this one was short. It was only 8 pages of
Before
questions.
you put answers in, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it used to be 12 for the LARPs. So...
Morgan, James Morgan, I believe.
James Morgan. Okay. And did
Yes,
you have a
James
name
Morgan.
for the mentor you are defecting with?
No, I was leaving a lot of that descriptive up to you because I think, honestly, you'll come up with something way more interesting than I will.
Cool. I will have to do research. And
because I don't know this person yet,
yeah,
I kind of figured like I'm getting what I'm gonna get because I can't afford to be picky at this point. I am running from the technocracy.
This is really true. So
I am defecting.
So I'm gonna have to do some research to make sure that I get the name scheme right and figure out whether or not he's from the Americas or he is French. I don't know if I can pull off the French accent. It's one of my weaknesses as an actor, because if I'm going around saying that I speak with a French accent, I will sound like Pepe Le Pew. You know.
Well, I mean, I think we went with I paid for an interesting and eccentric and good like mentor. So not like a really present one, but very interesting.
Yeah. So I've got some good ideas there. And then was there anybody
but
else?
she's 21, so she's still quite young. She hasn't had a ton of world experience beyond, I mean, what would have been common for the day and age, which 21 was quite old. 21 was quite old.
And that's why I asked you all play very young women, because it is not a great era. We're going to touch on the whole woman thing in a bit, by the way, and why that we're taking some liberties with history on this, because, hey, I want this to be fun. Oh, and hello, Raid. And also, hello, the onyxpath. Good to have you in the chat there, guys.
Yes.
It's so good. Who's rating us? Ooh, it's table down top. Or table down tabletop. Top down tabletop? Top down tabletop. Sorry, my chat keeps moving and I can't read it. Okay.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to play with some of the paternalistic sort of themes in Why Evelyn Leaves.
Sounds good.
Moves on.
So I've got some good stuff for you. I'm super excited for episode 1, and episode 2 is going to have content warnings out the wazoo, but it's going to be fantastic.
I'm going to have to psych myself up or something before this.
It's true. So I think in order of making it easy to understand for the chat, I'm going to ask Jen, can you go first? after Christine. So Christine is a mad scientist, kind of like a Thomas Edison or a Tesla. You are
More Tesla, I think.
more Tesla.
So I will be playing Josephine Carrington, or let me actually get this right here.
Okay.
Josephine Azure Benedict Evans Hazel Carrington Benny Tharsis, daughter of Concordia, mistress of the Arcturus, in caligni abditus, Kodairu Zaremot Aseut Bo.
Which is, of course, her hermetic true name, because boom!
I like that you managed to just get that right off.
And there's a hermetic fan watching this who is squeeing right now. They're just like... So, tell me, I didn't write any, I wrote Josephine.
Yeah, that's fair. She goes by Josephine, so that's fine. So Josephine, just kind of almost the complete opposite of Evelyn, actually, because Josephine was born in Concordia, which is the main city of Horizon, which is a realm separate from Earth that was created by tradition mages.
Yeah.
As a stronghold.
It's Narnia.
It's Narnia.
But with more kung fu and Arabic mysticism and
and all mixed together, more or less. So it's also a place where magic is just a part of everyday life. Mm-hmm. And she's a kind of a weather mage, but from House Tharsis, which is from the Order of Hermes. And so she deals primarily in forces magic. I'm hoping to come across as a bit overconfident and naive, but she's come to Earth to kind of find her fortune, and she yearns for adventure. She's also kind of in her early 20s there, and but hasn't really left home yet. So this is her first time leaving home.
So you're a stranger in a strange land.
Yes, I am.
And so the Order of Hermes are traditional wizards, for those of you who don't know. They study high formula, alchemy, everything. They call down seals of Solomon. They bind angels into swords. If you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf on the bridge is the best hermetic example that I've seen in a movie in a long time. He goes through his title just like Jen just did. Flame of Order, it's so good. But that's the kind of stuff that she's going to be doing. Why are you excited to play her?
Well, one of the things I'm excited about is, so first of all, I played a lot of Mage with you pretty much entirely, which I've fallen in love with it much like you have. And, but because of that, I also really wanted to play something different this time because I've played a lot of different things. And so being in the Victorian age kind of opened up a bunch of options. I get to be from Horizon, which I've never been able to engage with.
No one ever runs anything in there because it's in the current continuity. Well, okay. So in the continuity that I grew up with before Mage 20 kind of shook it all up a bit, Horizon's gone. The technocracy blew it up. It's blown up and gone before you start playing the game. This isn't a spoiler. This is just backstory. So it's never existed for us in our games before. I think you guys went there. Well, it's mostly dead. You guys went there once in the game before you started playing with me, actually. So no one's been there out of this group.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to go there and you get to meet some of the famous people. You could hang out and get drinks with Vormos.
Yes.
He's great at this point. He's barely evil.
Right?
Barely.
Yeah.
It's barely an inconvenience, really.
Yeah. So because I get to, do some stuff with Horizon, which I've never had to do or done before, I actually came up with the concept. It shifted since then, but my original concept was pirate queen type character. And that was before I realized there was an actual hermetic house that dealt with that.
That vanishes 10 years after the start of the game, 1901, doesn't it? Or something like that?
1897, end of the Victorian Era.
Oh yeah, that's why I have it set in those 4 years. I wonder why.
So who knows if, the whole disappearance and the hunting down for demonic worship part will actually show up in game, but it's possible.
It's fine.
Or maybe it's all your fault.
Why would that show up?
Right? Who knows? But because it vanishes in 1897, House Tharsis is not in the later books, and there's actually no real information on it except for when it started, when it ended, and the fact that they mostly dealt with weather magic, and therefore were very big during like the age of piracy. So there were a lot of pirates, a lot of sailors, that sort of group of people. And so I get to play someone that's a tradition that I absolutely love. I love the Hermetics; they're my favorite, but in a different flavor of things, and it's just really fun and exciting for me. So.
Nobody has a magic wand up their ass quite like the Hermetics. They're so great.
Nope.
I love that in the LARP version of this, you have to take a point of condescending. Like as a negative trait, you have to be condescending if you play a Hermetic. Just a little.
I know.
Just at least once per night, you have to be like. It's so good.
Yeah.
I love them. Okay, so do you have any ideas for your mentor? Because I still am browsing the surveys right now. So.
Yeah. So I don't actually have points in mentor, but I do have my teacher who inducted me into the Hermetics, and his name is Ignatius Schmidt Banitharsis. And then I do have a patron on Earth who we hadn't really talked much about because I needed somebody kind of on Earth to help me get acclimated and settled and all that, because I am an unmarried woman.
It's true.
Because I'm from Concordia, because we don't fucking care.
I have a pitch for you for this gentleman.
Sure, yeah.
Paul Giamatti. That is my pitch.
Okay.
I want him to be played in my head by Paul Giamatti.
Sure.
In every movie where he has ever been frustrated and bearded.
Yeah, okay.
Because we just watched a movie, we just watched Gunpowder Milkshake the other night, and he's in that, and he's frustrated and bearded in a suit, and I'm like, that's Jen's guy right there. Because he's a nice guy, but also a complete dickhead. And nothing says a good Victorian contact like a dickhead who is also potentially a good person. With that, what's a good name? What do you want to name him?
I did come up with a name if you like it.
Let's hear it.
Clifford Hackenberg.
Oh, God, that's Paul Giamatti.
Right.
Hackenberg?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write that. I'm going to spell that wrong, but Clifford Hackenberg is going to be there. He's going to be played by Paul Giamatti in the film, and that is going to be fantastic. Also, if you are looking for places that you can pick up a copy of Mage the Ascension, if this game sounds to your liking, you can definitely find everything on Storyteller's Vault, which is a part of Drive-Thru RPG. And also, there are a number of Mage the Ascension Kickstarters that have been going recently that you might be able to get on some of the back-end stuff, but Storyteller's Vault is fantastic. And also, if you search Kelly Clark, you will find all of the books I've written, which, hey, buy them. They're more about vampires, but I'm going to start doing mage stuff when I stop writing about vampires, which is in, like, 3 more books. So, yeah, buy my book. Is there anything else that you want to talk about her with?
I guess the other kind of NPC that's really connected to me is my Dotson rival.
Yeah, I love rivals.
Yeah. So I have a rival from Concordia, who is mad that I got his spot in the host Host Tharsis.
Okay.
All
right.
And I named him.
Yeah.
I named him Alvin Quayle.
Alvin?
Alvin Quayle.
Okay, I was just making sure that it was spelled like Alvin Simon Theodore. Quayle.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure, but I threw him in Bonus Agus.
He's in Bonus Agus? Oh, God. Let's hope he doesn't challenge you to Sertiman, because they have some distinct advantages there.
Right? I figured,
Oh, my God.
I was going to put him in Ex Miscellanea, but I was like, that seems too reasonable. Gotta make it interesting, right?
Someone just actually recognized my name from my book publishing, so that's fun.
Nice.
onyxpath, feel free to drop links in the chat. I believe you have approval to do so. If not, you can send me a PM and I'll do it. All right, and add me as a friend. Maybe we'll hang out. All right, let's go to the, it's really funny because we're finishing with Robin because she wants to go last because she's the new one. Hers is actually really easy to understand. Now let's go to Amy.
I don't know where to start.
Okay, so Amy, what
Yes,
is so?
hi.
What's your character's name?
Chastity, Prudence, Goodwin.
Sounds good. Where is she from geographically?
About Boston Bay area.
A little bit further out, like
Massachusetts.
a little closer to Salem, somewhere around there.
Just in the outskirts of it, and not quite Salem, but nearby.
When you grew up, was there any strange or unusual event that occurred involving like ergot poisoning?
What? I don't know. I mean, she's a good Puritan girl. I don't know.
Sorry, a good what?
Puritan girl.
When are you from again? How old are you?
1960 something?
1960?
Yeah, that's when we set this, isn't it? 1690 something? I can't words.
I was like, so you're from
19,
you're from this
16?
It's 2021 right now. Subtract.
Sorry, which year are we saying this in? Victorian Era. That's the 16 something?
Yes. So Amy,
Totally, right?
So Chastity is a bit out of time. So
Just a tiny bit.
So you are playing someone who originally began life as a Puritan girl during the witch burnings. And through a series of events, which we will not share here because I might do part of it on camera, I'll warn you in advance because I know what involves some of that, and some of it's content warningable. You had a bad run-in with some witch hunters and woke up in the Victorian era.
Yeah, it was only like 1879, 1890. It's been a couple years.
It's been a couple years.
She's had to adapt very quickly, but thankfully, she was picked up by her mentor, who is no dots, just story background stuff,
And
of the
this is in
Celestial
your-
Chorus.
Oh, in the Celestial Chorus. Okay.
Yes, Celestial
Sounds
Chorus.
good. I noticed that you have the symbol for the Cult of Ecstasy up in your cameo though. What up?
Well, that would be dual tradition.
Okay.
Yeah, she's shifting gears a little bit. She's found that maybe Celestial Chorus is great and all that, and her faith is very strong because she is a good Puritan girl, but also she's had her eyes open to other ways of enacting magic and interacting with the world. So, yeah, Cult of Ecstasy is what
Okay.
she does on the side, kind of crossing the wires there. It's a natural crossover, I think.
Fair. So I'm going to leave the Cult of Ecstasy logo up there though, so it doesn't get too cramped, because that's your primary. Because what do you do for a living? You're a nice girl, so I'm assuming that you're probably like a school teacher or perhaps a nanny.
She was taught by the she did her schooling through the church, and then one of her classmates once she was done with her schooling, hired her on as her ladies' companion so that she could go and have a chaperone when she went out and did activities in the daytime or evening, etc. And interacting with high society, or just society in general. So on the side, she does work as. Do you want me to say it?
As a tutor? As a
Not quite.
Okay.
There's probably some of that, maybe.
As a delivery girl?
Not quite.
Do you want me to say it, or do you want to say it?
I can say it. No, currently my concept listed here is time travel Victorian dominatrix.
Yes, because Hellfire clubs and S&M clubs were actually quite huge in the Victorian era, and that's where we're going with this. Because, hey, you can't get blood from a stone, but you can squeeze quintessence out of somebody who's bound and gagged. And the safe word is pineapple. Also, Google pineapples in the Victorian era for a great story.
Questions.
So your character, obviously, I was going to ask, why are you excited to play this character? But there's nothing about this character that doesn't sound fun.
Also, the name Chastity, Prudence, Goodwin, who is... I'm gonna be trying not to laugh the entire time. Having a straight face, this is gonna be tough.
It is. What's your mentor's name?
My mentor for the Celestial Chorus is Sister Agatha.
Okay. And one of the people and your friend.
Yep. So the person who I'm hired as the lady's companion, not to be confused with a maid or a lady in waiting. That is something else.
No.
Very different. No. I am paid and live with the family and get to like hang out and go do stuff with the family. It's nice. Yeah. My employer is Amelia Sutcliffe, and my Cult of Ecstasy contact, I believe we said, we didn't have a first name, but was we know him as Mr. Dashwood.
Mr. Dashwood. And we decided, and we're sure that he is Cult of Ecstasy, right?
I think that's what we agreed
Do we want him
on.
to be Cult of Ecstasy or Akashic Brother? Because he is going to be tagging along with you for many adventures, and he's a cross between Heath Ledger, the Marquis de Sade, and Danny Rand. But really, I don't know. You know, he can still have a little bit of kung fu and be an ecstatic. No one says that you can't.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited for this character. I don't even know how I'm gonna play this. I pulled out a book that belonged to my great grandfather, which is like old prayers and Bible reference stuff that's like from the early late 1800s, and I'm like, reference material on one pile, Googling Hellfire Clubs, more reference material.
Hey, the Dashwood name is long and proud in the Hellfire circuit if you Google that.
Yes.
We've done a surprising amount of research for this game. Mage makes you do that. What do you think of the name Percy Dashwood?
Yeah.
What do you think of the name... let's figure this
There was
out.
another one we were looking at, though, too.
There
What
was
was
Franklin
it?
Dashwood, but I don't want him to be called Frank.
Bartholomew Dashwood? Or
Hugo Dashwood. Now,
Hugo Dashwood?
everyone can weigh in on this because he's going to be traveling with you guys for a while when the story starts. So,
Percy Dashwood isn't bad. It doesn't feel quite right, though.
Victor Dashwood. No, these are good. Simon, Sydney, Sterling. Just it makes me think he's just Archer, which he basically is. But let's not. Phineas Dashwood, Finn Dash.
Ludo.
Right. So like Otis, Oscar, Otto. Anyway, keep going. If feel free to post in the chat if you have any good ideas for Mr. Dashwood's name. Just think that he kind of looks like Heath Ledger, but with like a pointier jaw.
Damien, Alistair.
So just pop them in the chat, like jot them down.
Wink.
Guybrush Dashwood. Thank you. Ludwig Dash. All right, so we're gonna keep going over. So I just don't want it to be like Frank Dashwood. That just sounds like he'd be your. Hey yo kid, that sounds like Paul Giamatti's character is Frank Dashwood, right?
Elliot.
Elliot Dashwood. So like some good ideas. All right, so what we are going to do next is head over to Robin. Now, Robin, if you have any questions, let me know because you're brand new to Mage. I know you've been stressed about this because you're like, you've heard these stories and it's got a big expectation, but
Yep.
the best games and best players in Mage the Ascension are often the new people. And that is not because they went out and broke a leg trying to reach those heights. It's because they bring insights that people who are used to the game do not. So, there's a lot more going for you than you think. So, first off, tell me who you're playing.
Okay, so I am playing Darcie Harkness. Darcie Olivia Harkness is her full name. She's just a wee Irish lass from I wrote down the town because again, she lives in a few miles outside of Bantry, Ireland, which is a small farming community. She grew up on a dairy farm with her adopted family. That was more New Zealand. I'm working on the accent. It will be better for Saturday.
Irish can be a hard one at times.
It is. I've been listening to Dairy Girls, watching it to try and nail down that accent.
Nice.
So, but yeah, she is 18 years old, and she grew up with her kind of adopted family, and she's just a sweet little girl that she has a little cat that she grew up with that she rescued when it was injured by livestock, and she's just a sweet little girl who is in the not Cult of Ecstasy. That's Amy's character. She's in the Verbena.
Okay, and the verbena, depending on your pronunciation there, it's pretty variable to be honest. Believe in what? Do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
I can do it. They are, if you were gonna equivalate, maybe you should take it because words are doing well tonight.
What are they?
but
What are they? If you had to point a finger at them and light them on fire, what would you say before you did it?
You're a witch.
Yeah, they're witches. They're witches.
Yeah.
So they should have gone after Robin. They went after Amy instead. So they're traditional pagans. Basically, they do witchcraft. They do worship the old gods. Everything from the really quick Western ones would be traditional Wicca, Norse witchcraft and belief. Or honestly, there are a lot of beliefs that would function into it, so long as you believe in the power of the old gods and blood magic and all that fun stuff. Yeah. So why are you excited to play her?
Well, I'm excited to play her just because it's something completely different than what I've done for any like D&D thing. This is something completely new for me, and I remember when you were first telling me about creating this character. You're like, create a person, and that's the first time I've ever put that much thought into this character, where like I feel very connected to her, and I still have yet to actually meet her in person yet, but I still feel very connected to her. Like, and this was crazy. I was out walking along the ocean side, and I was listening to a soundtrack that Kelly was like, oh, this is giving me the vibes for this era. And it was like slightly story, and all of a sudden Darcie came and she was talking to me. Like, and that's when I started building this character. I was stressing out about building her because nothing was coming in and I had no inspiration. I was like freaking out because I was hearing all my other compatriots here talk about their things, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden Darcie came and she spoke to me, and I was like, this is weird and I like it. So it's just,
Mage does that.
Yeah, Mage does that.
100%.
You were talking to your avatar. It's inside of you right now. Unless you took a merit, then it's outside of you right now and getting coffee or making coffee if it's a nice one. But we'll discuss that later. So you have a mentor that's going to pick you up right at the beginning of game because we're going to start in media res. What's her name? Oh, and the chat suggested McLovin Dashwood. I think that is the winner, really. If not,
I liked all the Dashwood.
Oh yeah, Dashwood. What? Yeah, it just watch out. It's Morse code Dashwood. Oh, Morris is actually not bad. I'll write that down. So what's your mentor's name? I'm gonna get that down.
Yeah, it was let me scroll down to.
Please spell it for me because I wrote it down on a.
Yeah. Okay. Where's the question about the mentor? There we go.
I do kind of like the Thaddeus one, Amy.
Thaddeus is good.
Okay, I'll put
Thaddeus
that on my.
Sounds a
Good.
bit pretentious.
Also,
right?
Julius Dashwood, or I don't know.
I've got a list here that I'll read out as well in just a sec. But
so her name was Mai ni Flionin.
Okay, so that's spell it for me, please.
Maille, then
LLE.
NI with like a weird accent on the I.
I'll just put a lightning bolt. Okay.
Yep. Then FLOINN. Very old Celtic name.
And mine, flown.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it.
Don't worry, I'll have to learn how to speak crotchety old woman for this. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be great.
Hello, Potter. Because your character's concept is basically Harry Potter. You were raised by, you're kind of like a mix between Harry Potter and Luke Skywalker, right? In the first episode, you could be like, but I wanted to go to Tashi Station and get some more cow's milk. And they've got the newest issue of Cow Monthly over there. We're in Ireland. There's not much going on here.
No, there's not. Oh boy. Yes, I realized I've built my ideal, the heroes that I grew up watching.
Right, and that's good. Find an easy touchstone when you're starting out. It'll make it easier. Then we can branch off from there.
Then easy. I can branch into people like Amy.
Yeah, then you can be a time-traveling dominatrix, which you can play that. You tell you what, I'll run a Doctor Who game and you can play that, okay?
Sounds great.
You can even be Michelle Gomez.
Yes, please.
Oh my god.
My first character was basically a CIA agent.
Yeah.
Actually, she was based off Elizabeth Keene in The Blacklist.
Yeah.
From the first few episodes. Like, that was the that was all the character concept I had to start with the first time.
And so for the concept is, again, being the baby of the mage group, is she's also freshly awakened. So it's gonna work out when I play that I don't know anything, because it's gonna work great. If she messes up and Robin messes up, you don't know who's messing up. Am I acting or is it real?
It'll be fine. A time dom.
It's both.
Okay, so I'm gonna hijack the talk for 1 sec. Okay, so I've got a short list right here. Okay, so Dashwood, I've got Zachariah, Hugh, Henry, Everett, Edwin, Colin, Benedict, Dean, Morris, Thaddeus, and Theophilus.
Can I also suggest Ephraim and Eugene?
Ephraim and Eugene.
Yeah.
I
like
think that no
Eugene.
matter what, he's going to have a shortened name. So Zach, I'm going to knock Zachariah off because I don't want him to be Zach Dashwood.
Okay.
Hugh Jackwood, I'm okay, but that's too close to, or Dashwood, that's too close. I already messed it up and thought Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, no.
I like,
Jackwood.
okay, so
You Jackwood.
how big's your Jackwood? It's pretty huge. Okay, Henry Dashwood is just me playing my love to the king of nerds, so I'm going to mark that out. Everett Dashwood, nah. Edwin Dashwood, it's okay.
I don't mind Edwin. Edwin's better.
Colin Dashwood, because then it's a Colin Firth nod.
No,
No? Okay.
I don't like it.
Benedict Dashwood, then it's a Sherlock nod.
Nah.
No.
I feel like it's slightly too many syllables to say all together.
That's fair.
On
Dean
a regular
Dashwood
basis.
is too short. That was a good one from the chat. Let's see. Then we've got Thaddeus Dashwood.
I'm pretty cool with that one.
And then
I
we've got,
honestly like the way it flows.
and then we've
but-
got Theophilus.
Yeah.
Again, it's kind of
Yeah.
It's a bit.
Disjointed.
I wanted to give Bricarius in the chat a nod there, so there's your nod, my friend. Ephraim Dashwood.
I kind of like that.
So we're down between Edwin, Thaddeus, or Ephraim. So his name would be Eddie, for short. Thad, or F.
I feel like it would still just be Ephraim or I mean F if he's our if he's our guy.
He's your guy. He's gonna
He's
be.
our guy.
He is his first scene with you is I've choreographed the whole thing mentally. It's gonna be phenomenal.
I have a feeling I'm going to have a slight it's just going to be Mr. Dashwood. Most of the time,
Yeah, that's
I
what
don't know you.
That's what I've got written down in my entire survey is Mr. Dashwood.
So that's, you know what? It's Thaddeus because Bricarius just said that he goes by Ted or Teddy,
Yeah.
and his name's Teddy. Teddy Dashwood.
That
There
makes
we
There
sense.
we go.
Sounds good.
Okay, this was very important to me.
I love it.
Was Thaddeus 2Ds?
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing that popped to mind from me when you said Dashwood was, of course, Jane Austen.
Yeah. So, for those of you who do not know, the Dashwood family is connected with the foundation of the very first Hellfire Club, which is why I took that name and was like, yoink, mine. Corbin Dashwood, multipass. Teddy Dashwood is
See,
purpose.
I said he can't be Rainbow Dashwood.
Oh, well, he should. Oh, god damn it. That would have been so good.
I know.
Just call him Bo. Bo Dashwood.
Bo Dash.
Oh, no.
Beauregard Dashwood.
Oh.
Is it Beauregard Thaddeus Dashwood?
It might
that
be
his name?
Beauregard Thaddeus Dashwood.
That sounds very Ambrosian to me.
Beauregard Thaddeus Dashwood. I don't know what he is,
So he's
by the
still
way.
Teddy Dashwood.
He's, until I have the voice ready, he's either American, British, or French, or a hellish combination of the three.
Aren't you looking at a French accent for my mentor, potentially?
Yes. Well, I know that Teddy owns property in all three countries. In fact, part of the game is going to be about getting to France because
That's fair.
he has an estate there. It's a small estate. It's only a few acres, like 20, 30, not very large.
I feel like
Country.
English or American would be more common.
French,
but
Korean. That would be a choice for this era. Okay.
or at least based on a lot of more common in the
Okay.
media sense.
So that is everybody's characters. Now we're getting to the part where we discuss what we want out of the game with each other and things. So I've already explained the game just to give you all a sense of it. So we're going to explain the additions and rules. There are two main rule sets we're going to go with on this one. One is Mage Revised. That's what I grew up with. It came out in around, I believe the publishing was 99 for that one. and it's what I've used for decades. Back around 2015, the final Kickstarter for Mage the Ascension 20th anniversary came out, and it is the heftiest damn tome you will ever find. It's about 600 pages long, and it was written by one of the original creators who went back and tried to take 3 editions of Mage and hundreds of source books and slam them together into a book and please everybody. And I think overall, it's a Herculean effort, and probably Sisyphusian as well. Because the index alone is like 30 pages long. So, that is one of the things that we're doing here. Here's the thing. It's stated many times in this book that the author that put together M20 is not the hugest fan of some of the things they did in Revised. So, in My Baby. So I have historically been a little rankled about this, but the more I look into M20, the more I see the merit of a lot of that is there, even though I disagree with some of the opinions about Mage Revised. Some of the rules have been vastly clarified from Mage Revised, and some of them have been completely tossed out. Some of the ones that have been tossed out, I really like. We're going to pop them back in because, hey, why not? It's our game. This is not a judgment call, and I think you should buy all of the Onyx. Thank you. 696 pages, even bigger than it is. The onyxpath is in the chat right now. Is it the biggest book? Because the damn thing can kill most vertebrates if you drop it on them.
Specifically, the onyxpath person is Ian, who had a hand in Victorian.
What's that?
You said at the beginning that he was part of writing Victorian.
Oh, that's perfect. Like I've got my yeah, that's it right there. I still have my copy in the other room, shrink wrapped, which I will be opening for game next week for the first time. I never actually opened it. I just used the PDF. 700 pages, because it is 20 years of history and tons of stuff where they say, hey, you can use this rule or not. Hey, you can use this plot point or not. Did the technocracy win? Sure. Or not. It's up to you. Because Mage has been through a lot of stuff. The original one was far more like a heavy metal cover with, like, you know, chicks in chainmail riding on dragons through space fighting wizards type of stuff. And then it morphed into this kind of grunge punk resistance fable. And then it became M20, which is this weird hybridization of all of them that manages to really play all of the greatest hits. It's a hell of a book. And it's not the biggest book White Wolf published, that's fair. And from what I have read right now of Victorian Era, because I'm still reading my draft copy, I'm very excited about it, and good work. I'm curious to see what you actually wrote, whoever's behind the Onyxpath right now. Oh god damn, really? Oh yeah, Ptolus was huge. With that being said, there are 2 different editions. Mage 20 is what we're going to be using most of the things for, but I have deep love, and this is a personal statement. The quality of M20 is never in question when I choose something in Revised. That's because I love it and because I feel it fits my version of Mage. Is that cool, guys? Yeah. Folks, friends? Okay. So
all I have ever known is your version of Mage, because I've only ever played under you.
So
and they've hyped you up so much that I just want the Kelly experience.
So, what do we want out of this game? We want magic, excitement, adventure. We want a splash of history. We want fun, and we want to make a great story for people to watch, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, checks out.
It is going to be 1 part adventure, 1 part politics, 1 part horror story.
Ooh.
This is going to be a very dark story at times, with glimmers of hope, because it is the Victorian era. Cool?
Yeah.
Okay. So... Oh, you wrote in Guide to the Traditions. That's so rad. I love Guide to the Traditions. I use that so freaking often. Please tell me that you wrote the inverted backgrounds, the adversarial backgrounds portion, because that is probably my favorite, even though it's a little simple twist. It's a little simple rules
so
tweak.
Good.
But it makes so much... I incorporated it as a mandatory feature in my LARPs.
Yep.
Because it makes it so much better if you have a rival. It means I always have something to throw at you. Okay, so... First off, in Mage 20th and some of the earlier editions besides Revised, they use a K when they talk about magic being like will-working magic rather than just like, you know, like rabbits out of a hat type of magic. You guys cool if I omit the K just because it saves me on my Twitter word count?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm probably going to forget to use it anyway.
Yeah.
Because we didn't grow up using it, but hey, the special K is still there. I'm just the special K. There we go.
You are the special K in
I'm the
magic.
special K. With Kelly played by Sasha Grey, I'm there for that. I would watch that. Okay, magic and you. Okay, so one of the big things that is different about the two editions, though, is paradox. Okay, so in paradox, paradox is what happens when you cast magic that goes against consensus. The Victorian Era is going to be a bit looser than modern era to begin with, because people believed a lot of crazy stuff. Oh, thank you for showing off the guide to the traditions I loaned you. Fantastic.
I did earlier, and then it went out. Then it made me go out of focus. So I'm like, well, guess I'm showing it again to bring me back into focus.
So, what I want to do is, there are two types of paradox we can do. Okay, there is original mage M20, which is when you cast a vulgar effect, that is a magical effect that is paradoxical in nature, that is something that I have so many geese outside my window.
That's the paradox.
That's the paradox. A pair of geese.
Yeah. Coming for you.
No, it's the pair of ducks. Whack. Affleck. My car insurance went up. So in M20, basically, when you cast a vulgar effect, you get a point of paradox. It goes off, basically when I say it goes off, at a dramatic moment. You can collect many points of paradox. Many points is far worse than less points. However, it is you have much more latitude with what you can do because you can afford to mess up a bit more. You know, extra points of paradox. Paradox sounds scary, but 1 point of paradox. Well, let's talk about revised magics for you to understand the context here. In revised, every mage has access to their magic comes through a source called spheres. Spheres are spheres of reality, realms that are broken down into things like, forces, which is my control of all universal forces from magnetism to heat and their negation. And then there are things like, gravity. Life, which is all living beings and organic tissue. Mind, all conscious and subconscious realms in the astral plane. Spirit, all ephemera and worlds of spirit. Correspondence, which is spatial relations, distances, teleportation. Matter, all things made of matter. There we go.
You matter.
You matter because it's prime time, baby, for life. Etc. Right? These have a rating of 1 to 5. They govern what you can do with your spheres. I'm not going to go into that right now because there's a lot. It would take more to explain it to you. I'll do it later. You'll understand as we go too. But basically, whatever power level of an effect you use, if it is vulgar, you gain that many points of paradox and revised. If people see you and they are sleepers, so they are literally able to go, that can't happen, and kind of set off the alarm bells for the rest of reality, you get even more paradox. Usually +1, but hey, maybe there are 5 of them. It's probably another +1. Maybe there are 20 of them. It's probably another maybe 3, and it keeps until you explode. I
have never done that. Ever.
Jen has literally turned into energy and vanished from existence from paradox. It was a very sad final moment in a game. So the question that we have is, do you want a game? And the reason that Revised did this is that it was set in an era where the world was ending and mages were struggling to fight against the technocracy while kind of held down by that kind of Matrix kind of vibe, right? It had a very Matrix feel, even though it came out slightly before the Matrix, at least Revised did. And so there was that whole against the system, struggling, desperation, gutter punk type of World of Darkness, gothic punk horror type of vibe. So desperate magic where big punishment occurs is a big deal. It made sense. But in M20, they wanted to loosen it up a bit and make it a little more hopeful. What do y'all want? You four. I always lean toward Revised because I like desperation. But this is the Victorian era. So I don't actually think that it might be that bad. I think 1 point of paradox, personally, is, because I grew up with Revised, feels a little too loose.
My opinion here. So, first of all, being from my character being from Horizon, I have a different experience of paradox in that I'm not entirely sure it exists. That's beside the point. But I also know that because the Order of Reason has not yet kind of solidified a lot of reality in all the different areas, there's a chance that we go somewhere where like Darcie's paradigm is
if you go to rural Ireland,
it's perfectly legit there, and there wouldn't be, you know, a lot of paradox. So I kind of lean towards it being more harsh than M20 for sure. I love Revised, but I am also a paradox queen, so you know.
So I was just told by the onyxpath, because I'm still reading through the book.
The straits thing.
The straits. So I want to see what the difference is there, because
We kind of have slightly, I think it's like kind of the 3 levels of magic. So elegant is the basically coincidental, as he said. Uncanny is kind of, it's weird but still believable. It's just uncanny.
yeah, okay.
And then catastrophic is just like, what the hell? There's whales in the sky?
Okay, and how does that work for paradox?
Is that what they call a whale?
So is it
Fair
just
thing, right?
is it just a difficulty break rather than, so does paradox not really show up? I like that. Uses elegant magic in place of coincidental magic, vulgar magic without witnesses. Uses the straits in place of paradox. Okay, hold on. I'm still. It's a bare bones PDF copy that I'm looking through because it's still a draft edition, so it's not.
onyxpath said page 172 of the collected manuscript.
Okay, cool. I was just onto that. Okay, so the way that it works is the straits, reality, but
Yeah, there's a lot we've had to go through and be like, okay, here is how it works. Wow, words. Now I'm having trouble with words.
Join me.
Spreading.
Like a virus.
But here's how things.
Oh, I see. So a lot of what you were
works in
doing was
Victorian.
trying to bring in. So what I'm seeing here is that you were trying to bring in stuff from Sorcerer's Crusade and try to hybridize. Is that?
Hello?
Hello. What?
Sorcerer's Crusade?
Yes, because you were going to run that. So it looked, because it says right here that this is using the Scourge, or it is replacing the Scourge, which you remember reading about because you were reading my copy of Sorcerer's Crusade. In contrast to the gods-driven nature of the Scourge or existential terrors of paradox, the straits tend to manifest as elemental phenomenon, sickness of the mind and body, or violent forces acting to crush incursion. This kind of feels, and I mean this as an absolute positive, this feels a bit like it's touching on some of the paradox from Mage the Awakening, particularly 2nd edition Mage the Awakening, which was by far the superior Mage the Awakening, first of all. And when the paradox worked in that game, it was great. Ooh. Okay, so I guess we have 3 options. We can use M20's rules, we can use Revised's rules, or we can try this straits thing and see how we like it.
I'm inclined to try these straits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try it out.
Then let's just run with that.
Basically, it's like, say, if we were in like Ireland, Robin would be completely fine, but my stuff might very well incur paradox because they're like, what the hell is that?
And
Get
here's
out of here with your fancy devices.
And here's the
How?
thing. If we find that through our testing and playing that the straits aren't quite to our liking, congratulations, it's 1897. The technocracy now exists and suddenly paradox changes for good, right? Like, we do have an out if we want to adjust our timeline. Wow, my fist actually cracked when I did that. That was pretty great. But
otherwise, I'm fine with like paradox being fairly like tough as long as what's coincidental is a bit easier because it's such a weird time period.
I was going to allow that anyway. So my suggestion before I heard about the straits, because like I said, it's like 200 pages into the book, and I'm still rereading M20 to make sure that I have all my rules in mind. Because when you run a game for 20 years, you convince yourself that your house rules were written in the original manuscript. Where I'm like, I was flipping through M20 the other day, and I'm like, what the hell is this? This rule, this garbage. It was so much better in Revised. And then I went and looked at Revised, and it wasn't even there. And I'm like, I accidentally made that rule up like 15 years ago, didn't I? Because it worked better for my LARP. And Jen's like, yeah, I think you did. And I'm like, oh, damn. Okay, their rule makes sense. Dang it. So straits and territories, I think let's go with that. Okay, so we're going to use paradox according to that. So straits and territories. So we're going to try to run as close to Victorian era as written as possible, because it seems like this book is being really lovingly crafted. And
I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like when it's all done.
yeah, so am I. I've backed the hell out of it. Like, I have a copy coming and Jen has a copy coming. And the onyxpath, if you want to get me my colored copy, like my full layout copy, a little sooner than the rest of the Indiegogo people, let me know, and that will, I mean, sponsored, not sponsored, could be sponsored. So anyway, I will shill for the onyxpath. Come on, we've ran on their channel.
True facts.
Twice.
I'm really curious who we're talking with right now, because if it's
I think his name is Ian.
He said his name's Ian.
It's Ian.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey.
right.
We said that a couple times.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. We've had a lot of names bouncing around. Wait, which Ian? Is it the Ian that I met at OPPCon where I was doing tech for that Ian? It might be. In case, that is a really nice person. So, okay. So, personal instrument is something that you are going to have to figure out as well. So
He confirmed.
that is you. Oh, you're a really nice person. I enjoyed that brief interaction that we had. I was too busy trying to make sure the mics were working, but very pleasant people. All of the, everybody. So personal instruments are something as well that you'll probably have to figure out. Anybody who wants to can have a unique instrument, which is, of course, your own personalized special magic item. I think the best way to describe this is Darcie, your mother's Book of Shadows. You use that to cast forces magic. Let's say forces for the case of this. It gives you a difficulty break on all casting. However, if I take it and I feed it to a fireplace, you cannot cast forces until you replace it with something of equally sentimental or powerful value. I am hecking looking forward to that final book too. Okay, so rules changes that we are going to do, that we're going to touch on real quick between the editions. So counter magic. I'm going to make one minor change to counter magic, and that is that I like the idea that I've always used. This is the house rule I was talking about. If you have prime sight up, prime being the sphere of reality and magic, if you can see magic in motion, you do not need to roll to do this. You can spend points of quintessence to raise or lower the difficulty of an effect that you can see. Quintessence is expensive, so I think that it also cuts down on the amount of rolling we do. So if you can see it, you can squash it, and this is why the Technocracy, the Order of Reason, is more dangerous, because they have more nodes than you do at this point even. They can afford to buy you out of reality. So are y'all cool with that house rule? Okay. All right. So next point of order, rotes. So I had all of you create rotes. Rotes, for those of you who do not know, are basically spells. They're formulas on your character sheet where it's like, I know how to snap my fingers and shut off all light in this area. All candles will snuff out. I always do it the same way because I go Michael and summon the Archangel to sweep all of the flames away or something like that. It's always the same every time. In the Shadow, god damn it. For those of you watching on YouTube later, the onyxpath just left a horrible pun in my chat. Rotes always work the same way. In the live action version of the game, rotes make your difficulty less. So in this, for the time being, we're going to say that rotes don't do that, but they're basically a quick spell you have on your character sheet. If you need to make a concentration check, or if, for example, you are casting on the fly or in combat, if you have it as a rote, I will be more charitable about maybe not providing a fast casting penalty, because it's becoming a second reflex to you at that moment. Sound good?
Yeah.
So, and another
Which would be great when I also have concentration.
Yes, for you it's cheap as hell. Okay, so specialties are another rule that was different in Mage 20 versus Revised. A specialty is that when you are particularly good at something, when you have 4 dots of an attribute or a skill, an ability, in Revised, you would re-roll your 10s. So if you rolled a 10 on a 10-sided dice, you'd roll it again and see if you got more 10s or more 9s or 8s or whatever the difficulty is. In M20, they simplified it and said, hey, you roll a 10, it counts as 2 successes instead of 1. What do you want? Because on one hand, I never get more successes when I re-roll my 10s. And those 2 dice, like when I was over on McStabber Studios playing my 1980s Mage, those extra successes from rolling 2 successes per 10 would have been great. However, then there are people like Christine who will take 1 10 and
I
turn
really
it
like exploding tens,
just
okay?
thinking about that. I was like, well, Christine will get like 20 successes by re-rolling 10s or whatever somehow, and I'll just like get 2 successes and they'll both
I
be
blame
10.
the dice that Kelly bought me, okay? It's not my fault. He bought the dice.
So here's the deal. We could choose now, or you could choose at the time. As in, you can take it as 2, or you can re-roll it.
So we just have to declare it, be like, if you roll 10s, be like,
I
I'm
am
keeping my
fine.
10s and taking 4 or something. If you roll 2 10s versus we're saying I re-roll. Okay.
I'm fine with you making that choice on the fly so long as you're honest about it. We don't use dice cams because, for one, they're expensive. For 2, we don't use a virtual tabletop because it messes with our layout. And our face cams, we're come on, look how pretty we are, especially not me. I'm okay. But I want to trust you guys. And if I can't trust my players, I shouldn't be running for them, is my opinion. I only run for friends. I only run for people that I trust and care about. Because you're going to be trusting me to not cross any lines or do anything that's going to hurt you emotionally. I'm going to trust you to be honest with me about this game. And if you fail a roll, I think a lot of the cheating that comes in role-playing games is you want to hold on to the power.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I'll probably end up, I'll try both, but I'll probably end up sticking with one because then I'm not trying to game it for, oh, well, this roll is really important, so I need to guarantee at least a couple successes. I would rather have it be like, okay, well, no, I prefer exploding 10s, so that's what I'm going to stick to. And if I fail, I fucking fail. Because why try and keep switching back and forth at least for myself?
I'm probably gonna do something similar where I'm gonna feel which one.
Try
I like
it both
to do
and
better.
then
when you're
decide
feeling lucky,
which-
you do it.
Yeah.
Whichever one you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And then that way you're not trying, I don't know, that way it's like, well, the luck is what it is.
And I know that you guys have played with me enough that you know that failing forward is something I really believe in. I believe that failure is the most enjoyable experience in a game if you do it right. And I think that is the number one thing that Chronicles of Darkness, 2nd edition from onyxpath, did correctly, is the dramatic failure beat mechanic. That if you can take a dramatic failure to gain more experience points, because you don't learn from success.
Well, yeah, I mean, the best thing about Monday night's game was failing.
Yeah.
Failing rolls and getting possessed.
Oh, yeah. Callie getting possessed.
Or
is
like Claudette, 2 nat 1s in a row. Well, I guess she's seasick.
Yeah. So
I love failing. It's
was
more
great.
fun.
So we
Like,
are
I don't
going-
necessarily want to fail on like when I've set up a really good spell slot and I'm spending at like several slots above and like I'm really spending for this to try and hit hard and then I fail.
But if you do,
That
you
really
do.
sucks.
But if you do, you do, and then you hit them next time. So as far as dice mechanics, we're also going to be using the standard dice mechanics in terms of ones. So 1 subtract from successes. With one exception, you cannot botch a soak roll, so you can't botch absorbing damage. You can't botch a damage roll. You can't punch someone so hard that you heal them, unless you use magic. And you cannot, if you roll a 10 and then roll a 1, it doesn't cancel the previous 10. It just kills. I'm not gonna have that in there on the 10 explodes if you decide to use them, because that kills your soul.
Yeah, it does.
I'm gonna be generous there. Okay. Resonance. Resonance is something from Mage Revised. It is basically a flavor of your character. In Mage Revised, you could call upon it to make magic easier. If you had a really fiery personality, you would have the fiery resonance. It was basically like, adjective attached to you. And if you cast fire magic, it was easier, but ice magic was harder. We're not going to have those in terms of mechanics. because that's just a few too many for a newer player. But I want you all to have a point of resonance because I really have always appreciated it because it is a lingering stain of who you are when you cast magic. So it's, like, I have not felt this presence in a long time. My old master is here. How can you tell? He has the resonance static high ground. Right? So, like...
Well, and I mean, in my opinion, we don't have any, but with the whole, like, Euthanatos thing and having Jor as a resonance, if one of us is in a position to gain Jor as a resonance, I want us to have that opportunity.
Yeah. Jor is Death Taint. You get it from doing great life choices.
The best type of life choices.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we only get a couple more of these. So we are doing the divided success rule. So, for example, if you roll more successes on magic than you mean to, you can spend them wherever you choose inside. In this magic system, you roll successes, then you buy things off columns, basically. I want it to last for 3 days, and I want it to blow him up for 10 points of damage for 3 days. Right, things like that. So you are going to be able to do that. We're using that because it makes sense to me that, like, sometimes you can overextend. Who has not tried to do something and did it way too hard? Yeah. You have not? You have not. Of course you have, because you do everything perfectly. Okay, so we're going to do that. According to the base rules, scrying through time is almost always vulgar. I'm not sure how that works in the Victorian era, but I'm going to say that it is only vulgar if you don't have a means to fake it. Yes, or catastrophic.
Right, I wanted to comment on the previous comment.
Yes.
It's not that I never do more than I intend to because I always intend overkill.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yes, Christine always kills. So what this means, Amy, if you try to look through time, and if you are looking back in time at a crime scene and you're investigating it using these brand new methods from that book that short story that came out 4 years ago, Study in Scarlet, that Hemlock Schurz guy.
Yeah.
So if you take time and you couch it in modern stuff, you can probably get away with it. But time magic is usually fairly vulgar. It depends what you do, in my opinion, so we're going to play it by ear. Forces rules. We're using the forces bonus damage from revised. In revised, forces damage always does an additional point of damage because forces blow stuff up. I'm going to keep that because I like it. Quintessence drain from self. I have a note here that I guess in M20 they changed it. So you can scour your own pattern for quintessence with Prime 1 in my games. As per the rote in the Verbena book, what is it, self-sacrifice? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, self-sacrifice.
So we're going to use that, even though, however, I was looking at other Prime stuff, and I was arguing with the M20 for a while. I was flipping through, and I'm like, I don't like the way they did Prime. But then I thought about it for longer and harder about what Prime represents, and I actually kind of agree with it. So long as you can still use Prime offensively at level 2. It just has to be a direct handoff. But we talked about that earlier, so that'll be fun. Mothman Shrink. I have no idea what that means, but cool. And then finally, let's get to the fun part, folks. We're done with rules stuff for the most part. If there's any other things that come up, we're going to address them as we go, but we're going to try to use Victorian as much as possible, followed by M20, and then the
revised for the fun stuff.
Revised for the fun spirit. Okay, we're going to talk about on historical accuracy. This game is not a documentary, nor will it mean to be. We are not going to use historical slang on the regular, and when we work it in, it's going to be heckin' fun. This game is going to use specific language. We're going to try to be as proper and fun as possible as these characters, where we're going to be pip pip cheerio, have a wonderful day, but also, you fucking motherfucker, I'm going to fuck you with a fuck. Right? That might come up. By the way, content warning, language. But I have the mature filter on, so you click through that, so you're fine. Except on YouTube. Oops. Hi. There will be language. We will be historically accurate where it's fun, but our goals in this game are as follows, and correct me if I'm wrong on this one. To tell a cool story. To have fun with that story. Those are interchangeable, to be honest. To feel really badass while doing it, to wear cool costumes, to use funny voices, and then around like number 6 or number 7 is to be historically accurate.
And I put mage historical accuracy above.
Yes, to be historically accurate to Mage, which we will try to be accurate with the exception of years, because we are playing with the idea of the floating timeline, right? Where, well, the Sons of Ether didn't actually leave until like 1901, but it's like but maybe they left a couple years earlier, and the records are wrong, right?
Yeah, totally. It's fine.
And honestly, like, it's the world of darkness, so that doesn't mean it's going to be identical to current day Earth.
Yep, exactly. And
Like,
a couple of
stuff can be different.
and something that is going to be really important is our next point. And the reason that we're not doing historical accuracy to the fullest extent is, and here is the part that I will probably hear about in the comments later, but not in the chat, because everybody on Twitch is really cool. Not most of you on YouTube are cool too. Just those couple of people, you know who they are. They get blocked pretty quick. We're going to talk about marginalized history and presentation. Okay, so case in point, all of us are, for the most part, coming from places of limited marginalization at most. I am a mostly cis, mostly hetero, mostly white guy. Okay, I have a fairly sizable chunk of Native American indigenous heritage, but I never met the guy. Okay, it never really has affected my life. Some of us here, well, everybody but me is either female or femme presenting. And many people here are, many besides myself, are of marginalized sexual identities. So, but at the same point, like, this is a historical game. So how do we run a game with racism, sexism, genderism, homophobia? Well, homophobia was weird in the Victorian era. And how do we portray cultures well without saying, and in this episode we go to the Orient, right? How do we present this both in a way that is tasteful, but also authentic enough that that we don't feel like, well, why don't we just set this in like 1999 type of thing? And oh, thank you very much, the onyxpath. And thank you very much, Froggy Mythlegs, for, oh, you gifted. Thank you. You gifted to the onyxpath. That's fantastic. And I'm glad you're here as well, guys. So that is something that we need to discuss, and we need to make sure that everybody is okay with. So first of all, when you're doing historical fiction, there are two ways to do racism and sexism. One is to pretend that they don't exist. This is kind of like the method. It's not quite accurate to say it's the Doctor Who method, but a lot of Doctor Who in like the earlier couple of seasons of the revived Doctor Who kind of just had, okay, cool, we're going to go back in time to like places where there is a lot of just, homogenization of people of all ethnicities. And we just don't make a big deal about it. We just kind of hand wave a lot of it. Modern episodes of Doctor Who have actually delved into that. There was the episode with Rosa Parks not that long ago where race was a big thing. And to be fair, it was a much bigger thing after a certain point in the United States than it was anywhere else in the world on purposes of race. Because racism... I have a master's in history. I still don't feel comfortable giving like the explanation of race throughout history. Just, it's complicated.
Very.
Like, if I were running a Requiem for Rome game, racism would be far different in the Roman Empire, for example. It's back then, it wouldn't be based on skin color as much, for example. It would be based on your accent or what colors you were wearing, more than what color you were. So on race, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to present people with every bit of dignity, and I'm going to present any type of inherent racism of the era bluntly, but as a negative thing in the way I portray it. How does that sound? I am not going to use any vulgar language or slurs. I don't want to. I don't want that coming out of my mouth, let alone on video. Okay. We will probably not go to certain places in America in the 1800s because this game is starting in Europe and America at the same time. If we deal with the Orient, quote, so if we deal with anywhere in Asia or in like the Indian subcontinent specifically, there's a lot of stuff there I would like to lean into. Like how, we're right in the middle of all the stuff that Britain is doing to that entire half of the world. You know, if we go to Africa, that is gonna be a trip. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm gonna try to be authentic, and I'm gonna try to do it with the heart of a historian from the 21st century. If you have any suggestions, and if anybody in the chat has any suggestions on how to do this, that it is done with a... I don't want to hand wave what we did, but I will never celebrate it.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And hopefully I will never come across like I am. Cool? Cool. Same thing with women, because I like women. I think women are great. They are equal to or better than guys. It depends on the person, kind of. But you know, it's almost like they're half of humanity. So I'm going to treat you with a little bit of condescension at times. When I do, I expect you to destroy the straw man, please. Okay? We've done it in the past where we generally prefer not to have homophobia or other types of phobias or things in our games. With the sole exception that if anybody displays that, a non-player character does, it's open season.
So it's like that anti-masker from Werewolf.
Yes, we had an anti-masker in Werewolf, an anti-vaxxer in Werewolf particularly. Yeah, that was a fun episode because that was right when the pandemic was hitting its height.
We were just like, all
and
right.
we had a bunch of protests in Vancouver. And we were in a modern game set with COVID. And the werewolves were actually fighting the spirits of the virus at a time. It was uncomfortably political at times, but hey. With that, there are going to be places where it'll be easier to be a woman. I want this to be a celebration of women in this era as well, if that works for y'all. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's the thing is like with the issues of racism and Orientalism and all the isms that are huge in a period of colonialism.
And that is one thing I want to...
As long as they're addressed as being present, so it's not like you're pretending they never existed.
Yeah.
But it's clearly put as it's that dude's an asshole, look at him being all racist. And then we can kind of be the more enlightened, which again is a bad term as well, but a lot of the way of thinking from that era is just, it's got issues.
The onyxpath beat me to it right there, but I was actually just about to tell them that for those of you who are just getting into the Victorian Era Mage book right now, the Victorian Age Mage book that onyxpath is just working on right now, finishing its finals of, makes a big deal of pointing all of this stuff out. That imperialism is at its height, and that the book is not a celebration of imperialism, and that it actually, the number one thing that I want to congratulate onyxpath on with M20 and all of their mage products to date, especially coming out of like the M20 edition, they have been representative as fuck. They have used characters of all ethnicities on their cover art. In fact, hey, like here's something that oh no, I don't have it nearby. I was gonna show off my book of secrets has a woman of color on the cover.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's on that side table that's
I was literally
by my side
like,
couch.
Yeah, so it's over there. But like, you know, woman of color on the cover. We never would have seen that when I was starting out in games. There is an NPC inside of one of the mage books that uses alternative pronouns, new pronouns, Zazer, I believe.
I found when I was looking at merits, they had specifically that Zer might, right, was just part of the sentence. There's no identifying this person uses these pronouns. It was just part of the sentence. Like they'd say she or her or his or him.
Yeah.
Just there.
And it has been...
This is so cool.
And it's been fantastic to see that. And I really celebrate you for doing that and for hiring a diverse group of writers to come together to write something that is about all sorts of cultures and belief systems. Almost like... a bunch of like homogenous writers from like the American Midwest or South writing about issues in Asia in the 1300s might not get the vibe quite right. Like the flavor might get close, but there are nuances that cultures miss from the outside. It's a wonderful step. Good job. Like, seriously, go support their books. It's great, and it doesn't take anything away from the experience. It can only add to it if you get someone's hometown advantage on the writing. Right? Like, seriously. So there's that. So that is the deal we're going to go forward with all of the race and sexism thing. As far as matters of sexuality, Victorian sexuality was super diverse. So was Victorian gender identity. The idea of a third sex was very common. That it had nothing to do with your genitalia. That if you were for example, if you were a man who liked to, and I'm using the terminology from the era, please mind me, but if you're a man who liked to dress in women's clothing, you would often be considered a third sex. I don't see why that's a problem. If that is something that would be at the time, so long as it is done with care, and if I introduce a character like that, I am going to do my research and talk to my trans friends, and make sure that it's all good, because if you've been watching Dork Tales, you should know there are a lot of trans characters in these games. A lot in our D&D games too. A lot you wouldn't know, because magic makes certain aspects of that easier if you would like to take those routes. And hey, there's magic here too. So there, and also
life magic is really easy for that.
And
Yeah.
and Jen, for example, your character comes from a place where gender identity is a bit more fluid.
Yep.
So-
I've actually come to the conclusion that if she were in modern day, she would probably be, use they them pronouns and be gender fluid and not really care, because of the time period, and because there isn't the same, like, everything attached to gender in Concordia, as we've decided, because it's not like it goes into it in the book or anything, but
No.
whatever. It's in space. Who cares?
Space gender.
Yeah, I'm usually
Look
just
at
like,
shirt.
okay, she's using she, her pronouns because that's just what she uses. She doesn't care. But if somebody were to use different pronouns for her, she also wouldn't care about that.
Well, let's say that in Enochian the pronouns are neutral.
Yeah.
You know what? In Enochian the pronouns wouldn't be neutral; they would be all encompassing.
Yeah.
They would be
Exactly.
the opposite. It wouldn't be gender neutral; it'd be gender
Everything.
omni.
Yeah.
Because Enochian doesn't do half measures. Damn it.
This is true.
It's really true. Praise Enoch. Okay. So, and the character art was done by a good friend of the channel named Eve. If you like the art, we can get you their information. It'll be coming behind the episode when this posts up so that you can see the other cool art, which is going to be fantastic because they're great and they take commissions and they're a starting artist and could really use the extra commissions.
And the art is fantastic.
Yeah.
Space genders, but vod. Okay, so mature themes. You guys ready to talk about some mature themes?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, so first off, as we go into this, no one has to discuss anything on camera that they do not want to discuss. Period. This game is going to have dark themes. We are 4 years after ballpark 4 years after the Whitechapel murders. For example, Jack the Ripper is present in this time period, perhaps literally. Okay, the memory of these killings is very, very common. The casual murder of lots of normal people is very common. The horrible drug use, violence against women, marginalized identities, all of this is very present. So is just casual violence. So there are certain things that we all like to talk about and make sure that we are comfortable with. For example, I have been restricted from doing anything to eyeballs and fingernails. That is a simple squick that y'all don't want. If anybody else has a squick that they do not want to deal with. I have been in some games where people are like, I've been in games with people who were recovering addicts. And they didn't want to deal with any subplots involving addiction, particularly with injections. If that is something that you don't want to talk about as players, please let me know. If there's stuff you just prefer not to talk about, let me know. We are also going to be employing a system, and I strongly suggest for those of you watching that when you are running more mature games, that you always have safety procedures in play. The simplest one, number one, is to build a bond of trust and understand where everyone is coming from. That is the first step to having a good game, is to having a trusting, consensual relationship. Jen, you've been playing with me for 15 years now or more. I know that you have no boundaries, really, but if you needed to take a break or discovered a boundary, you know you could tell me, and I would not judge you.
Absolutely.
Amy, you have some boundaries, but you trust me not to cross them without permission, or to even approach them without permission. Your boundaries are an angry dog. I have to tame it before I can deal with it. Trust is incredibly important in these type of games. However, there are times where I might overestimate someone's comfort level. In those cases, there are two methods that I find very useful. One is the black card method. Black card is particularly useful when you're playing in person. You have a black piece of paper, a black playing card. You have something on the table, and you can do one of two things. Either you hold it up when you are uncomfortable and would like the scene to stop, or it's in the center of the table, and all you have to do is put your hand on it. Because then you're not drawing attention to yourself as easily, and some people are very shy about that. The black card means that the current scene stops. We transition and move on, and if we need to, we take a 5-minute break, 10-minute break, go to the bathroom, grab some more coffee, something like that. Okay? I don't think black card is as useful because we are playing remotely. So we're going to use the more active version of it because we're all theater idiots. So we are going to be using the phrase fade to black. Fade to black means the following. You ever seen a James Bond movie? Cool. He seduces a lot of women. Do you ever see the pornographic nature of those encounters, or do we pan to the fireplace and fade to black? That's what we're doing in this case. And we have done this many times. For example, I have no idea how many times Amy's character in our primary Dungeons & Dragons game has seduced or been seduced, because we constantly fade to black, and I don't know if they actually did stuff or if they played checkers all night. And if Amy
is checkers a euphemism?
if Amy wants to tell me, they will. Right? So in the case of that, at any point in time, y'all can say, you can either send me a message, you can send me a PM if something is getting extreme, and you can say like, and then we fade to black or something like that. You can take the control from the narration from me. I don't mind.
Yeah.
Leave the audience.
I mean, that's the sort of thing, like, if we're in a one-on-one scene, if it's getting to the point where I'm like, this is going a little far, I'll be like, okay, well, this is what my character does, and then can we fade to black?
Yeah, that sounds good. And here's the thing. If you employ this safety tool in your home games, there's one rule for it. The storyteller does not argue with it. No one argues with it. When someone says, I think we should fade to black on this, you say, okay. The only thing that you can do, if your group is comfortable with it, is you can say, if the result of that encounter is something that is crucial to the resolution of the story. For example, it is a violent encounter where you think someone might die. You can say, okay, cool. Take a couple minutes and let me know how you want that scene to have resolved. Or can we talk about how the scene would have resolved in a few minutes? Give it some breathing space, or leave it for the rest of the game if you can. Usually these things tend to happen around the midway point to late in the game anyway. Nobody really jumps in with a scene of, that would require that. But that is what you should do. And the thing is that, like, real talk, okay? Someone has experienced violence, be it physical, sexual, or emotional. I, for example, was terrorized by my father for the better part of a decade. He was a violent alcoholic, to the point where I don't consume alcohol because I have a worse temper than my father, and I'm twice the size that he was. So I worry that if I'm not a happy drunk, I will be that other thing. For the longest time, I did not like being around the smell of alcohol, particularly beers, because I remember what that smells like coming off of someone's breath. When they're like this far from my face, right? So there are times in games that between that and problems I had in high school because I was a very extroverted, strangely introverted kid at times, I also dealt with a lot of bullying. I don't do well personally with feeling like everyone in a room hates me and is trying to tear me apart. Being ganged up on really bothers me. I have managed to work through most of my problems over the years. I even took a job bartending to get myself closer to it, to do some hands-on therapy. That was my choice to do. I wasn't forced into it, and that gave me power. Also, cutting guys off is really therapeutic if you have a problem with beer. You're like, nah, you gotta go. And then they have to go, or else you call the cops or the bouncer. And it's fun. But anyway, so with that in mind, I know what it's like to have these triggers, and like it's not a joke anymore. It's 2021. Your players have had life experience, and there's some things you just don't want to talk about. There's some things you just don't want to do. For some of the players here, I'm sorry, I'm going to bring it up once. So Christine, you can shut your ears for a sec. Some people might not like fingernail stuff because they saw a movie where fingernails got pulled out. Other people might have seen something with an eye, and they're just like, nope. And hey, almost all of us have seen Brendan Fraser's Mummy. You know which scene I'm talking about. Nobody wants to talk about scarabs, okay? So, but everybody has something. So just be authentic with your players, and that, I'm gonna get off my soapbox now. But so with that in mind, we have had lots of conversations behind the scenes. So when I am doing something, know that we have already worked this out, but if at any time they can pull the ripcord, and that's their call, man. Like consent in role-playing games, consent in anything you do in life is the same as consent in the bedroom. The moment you say, you know what, I think I'm out, you get to leave. No one can make you stay there because that's morally wrong to put someone through something they don't want. It's morally and ethically wrong, and I try to live my life fairly morally and ethically. But anything that you all want to add to this?
I just wanted to say that
activators,
like there's a lot of everything you said is great. For people like me, and this is why we joke about me not having boundaries. I use role playing as catharsis. I work through my own shit through role playing.
Yes.
And I also really like to get into the acting part of it. I may cry on camera, and I do this for myself. However, there are times when it hasn't happened yet, but it could, where something is just hitting me a little too hard, or something is hitting me in a way I did not expect. And yeah, I trust that if I tell Kelly, hey, let's fade to black, that he will do that. So
and that is also the concept of bleed, which is something you might not have heard of. It was popularized in my experience first with Nordic style LARP. And then I have borrowed a lot of things from Nordic LARP, and that I've ran a bunch. I haven't actually played in any one that I haven't ran. But bleed is basically emotional things that you either bring into game or take out of game. For example, a really easy one is be really careful when you have a conflict in character that does not sour your relationship with the person out of character. Also, if you have a romantic storyline in character, try to make sure that doesn't follow you out unless you're both cool with that too, because getting a crush on a friend can be really weird at times.
Hey, honey, we can have romance.
Well,
It would also be weird.
I try not to
That
do
can
that
also
with.
be weird.
I try not to do that with you. You know what? You're fine. I always feel like
I'm really sad because my characters don't get romance.
Oh, okay. I'll give it to you. So here, okay. So I always feel like people watch these games because I have more female friends than male friends, because like I live on an island where the male to female ratio is like 3-to-1 in this city, or male to female presenting to presenting. Yeah. And so like most of the role players I know, I've got like 4 guys, 5 guys. I tell this story sometimes, and I've got like 20 femme or femme presenting players, and every time I get a new friend and I'm like, oh, this guy's really cool, and they're fun, and they're flamboyant, and they're extroverted, and they're a lot like me, they later go, actually, a little thing about me that you need to know, and then it turns out that they're actually trans, and I'm like, damn it. That sounded wrong, but like it
Like,
always
not that being that is a bad thing, but that Kelly really wants a guy friend.
I really want more guys,
Kelly wants a
but
bro.
it turns out they're all just really cool trans women.
It's
so
bro
funny.
out.
It's so funny. You know what? It wouldn't be funny if it hadn't happened 3 times in the past 2 years.
Right.
It really has. But like opposite Jen, I don't like crying on camera because I can't stop crying.
Yeah.
So I'm the sort of person who once I start crying, I can't stop. I get really oversensitive because of it, and everything gets worse, and I go really blotchy and gross, and I hate it. So on that note, like I've made it clear there's certain things that I can't have in games, or at least they can be hinted at, but they can't be explicit. So stuff like cruelty to animals. I cannot sit through any of the SPCA commercials or anything like that because I would bawl. I hate. Stop it! Seriously.
Demonetized.
Or anything like that. And like sometimes I can't work through stuff very well in character, but like for an example, so I used to work in auto mechanics a lot. Guess who has been told on multiple occasions I would like to talk to a man? You can't possibly know anything about this because you are female and you don't have a dick.
I wish they
And
would.
it's very like, your penis doesn't make you better at
My
cars.
job too.
but you're better at stick shifting then.
But it's just like, so after a day of receiving that,
Dude, I was so happy when we
unless
started
it's
dating.
set up specifically right in the game so that I can kick the shit out of that asshole,
Straw man.
I don't want it. I don't want to see it.
So I was really happy when Christine and I started dating because my car was really in a bad state and she used to be a mechanic.
Oh yeah, I checked your history all the time.
Yeah, how do I change my oil? I know to change my tires, but like, is it really as easy as it sounds?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to change my tire. I might need some lessons if you're still if you're not even lost
my
it.
dad taught me how to change it. He taught me like 4 things.
I know how to do that too.
So
I know that's
Started in high school.
Yeah. Well, that's
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
sorry.
This is an apprenticeship. But I injured my back, so I ended up leaving it. But I ended up working for a parts counter for quite a while after that, before going back to uni.
It just in terms of like crying on camera and like getting into conflicts, I do love getting into conflicts between characters. Like that is something
Hi, Amy.
I do. Hi, Jen. Yeah,
So,
we did that in Werewolf recently. But
Whereas
that
I
scene was
hate
talked
it.
about in advance. We knew it was coming. We were like, this will be cool to do. When's it gonna fit in? And then we talked about it beforehand and after the fact. And then I think it was either later that session or later the next session, I just like, I full on just like crying in game, in character. And I'm like, it was a good game. Good game. I was glad for it. I was fine.
Yeah.
And
Whereas like I have to have that sort of thing really, really planned because I am super competitive. I know this about myself. This is a reason why I do not play competitive games with friends because I will legit turn into an evil monster and I hate it. So I don't do it. Because I do not want to have that feeling between me and a friend.
Robin, what were you gonna say? You've been.
I was gonna
so.
say for the trust and the thing for like being able to trust your storyteller and game master and all that. We were talking. I was thinking about some stuff, and I'm pretty open for like there's not much that like will do the fade to black, but I thought of one thing and I came to Kelly and he's like, oh yeah, I already knew that. Like I know you saying it, but I already knew that about you. And it's like, I haven't even known this guy for a year and he already knows like
Well, we're friends.
what not to do.
Yeah.
I know, but it's just like I do it's that relationship where it's like I trust you implicitly for this.
Well, no, I've got a lot of love for you. You gotta take care of people, and you should run games for your friends, by the way. And if they're not your friends yet, like, do what you can to make them your friends. Because if you're not running games for your friends, what are you doing? Like, unless you're getting paid, like, and if you're getting paid, good job. I kind of get paid for this, but like, I cheated. I did both. By the way, like and subscribe, smash that bell, support the Patreon.
I mean, you used to always get paid for certain things while you were. running games while you're working.
Oh yes, that's fair. Yeah, I we're on camera, Jen.
This was forever
I doubt
ago.
anybody
It's
from
fine.
those jobs are
Yeah.
watching this.
You know what? I hope they are, and hope they're liking, subscribing, and smashing that bell. And don't forget to support the Patreon and rate the podcast so that we can beat Distractable.
What?
Because that's all Markiplier talks about these days is his damn podcast, and nobody cares about your podcast, Mark.
I didn't even know we had a podcast.
Yeah, I didn't know
Then
we had a
you're winning.
podcast.
Would you like to hear about Distractable? Hey, you're saying, shut up. Play Resident Evil. Anyway, sorry. This is what it's like off camera, by the way. This is just me.
It's true.
Me ranting about Markiplier because he makes,
Money?
I think he makes 400,000 times what I do. Markiplier's fine. He seems fine.
Yeah.
A couple of things. This game will contain scenes that will not violate Twitch's terms of service or terms of content, but there will be. As the audience, I ask you to trust me on this and to know that I will not push scenes past a certain extent, or I will not do anything without the player's consent. There's an early scene involving Darcie that will imply sexualized violence. It will not achieve sexualized violence. It will not occur on camera. It will not be... it will be very fun. So if you can get through the initial discomfort of that scene, I guarantee that the punchline of that scene will be very fun, even if this is a bad thing for you, if you can handle that. If not, take a walk, go to the washroom for a minute. But for example, I will never put them in a situation where they will be uncomfortable or where it will harm my friendship with them. So,
I've asked for this. I specifically wrote this down. But this is me asking for this, and Kelly, so it's yeah.
Oh, are we being raided?
Yeah,
we got a raid.
Otter this
Oh, hello, Raid. Hello, Otter this world.
Okay,
Otter
so
this
Otter.
and then the last thing that I really want to suggest because it seemed like a couple of you were seeing this type of conversation for the first time in the chat is have a debrief.
Yeah.
If you had a really stressful session after game is over, we're doing it on camera, so we will probably do it after the camera is cut. We might do some of it beforehand as we're ending the game, just because we want to get it out right then. And if it's on camera, who cares? But sit around and talk. Give a minute. I think Jen and Amy, you spent some time just crying at each other for a couple minutes and hugging it out
Didn't
virtually.
we? I
didn't you?
don't remember. Kinda? I guess so,
Actually,
yeah.
Oh god, we all did
I don't
after that
remember.
game.
Yeah.
You did the
Yeah.
okay? You okay? I'm okay. Are you okay? Type of thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
sometimes you need it.
'Cause
Yeah.
it is easier to do it in person. So yeah, I think we
Yeah.
were just double checking out of
Yeah.
game or
Mhm.
Yeah.
on camera.
Well, and having it off camera is really important because, we had that with Rhyme where my
Yes.
character had a really serious, thing happen and kind of got alienated. And it was really intense. And people kept trying to ask me if I was okay on camera. And I was like, shut up, guys. Shut up. You're going to make me cry. Don't want to. Not on camera. Afterwards is fine. I will happily cry with you when the camera is cut.
Yeah.
So having a private debrief is really important so that you guys can express it without feeling like you're expressing it to the whole world, and that everybody will be able to go back and leer at your upset or anything like that,
Yeah,
or
especially as
your
the channel
feelings.
continues to grow, that's more ammo
Yeah.
for trolls, right?
Yeah.
So a quick story about a debrief that went really well. Once upon a time, my players and I, like most of the Dork Tales team, with a couple of extras who I don't think are with us at the moment for Dork Tales, we booked a cabin out in the middle of nowhere and went and did a retreat where I ran a bunch of parlor LARPs, basically. Because I really like live action play. If I could film it for you guys, I would. But I'd have to have someone hold the camera and it would just be weird. I love costuming, I love LARPs, I love acting, and I love games that kind of encourage those type of play styles. We played this game called Sarcophagus. It was a one-shot game, and the basic premise is that you are somewhere in North America, bomb sirens go off, and an incoming nuclear attack is imminent. You go to your nearest muster point and go into a fallout shelter with whatever people are in the game. One of you has been designated as a mole at the beginning of the game and is basically a storyteller's helper. They are a soldier and probably a friend of the people there, but they're the person who's in charge. They're the person who has the gun. And in these type of LARPs, the person with the gun, like in improv, the gun shuts things down, right? So it is the wand of power, right? You go into a vault and you wait out the apocalypse. And the first half of the game is nice and easy. The bombs don't fall. Yet. You don't know. You wait. And then throughout the game, if you have access to lighting like I did, you would slowly have the lighting get dim. And then you would have the lighting go out for a minute. And at that point, you inform them that they no longer can hear the fan circulating air, nor the automatic electricity for the door. It no longer matters if the bombs have dropped. The air is going to run out. There is no way to open the door. They are trapped. The rest of the game goes between 1 and 2 hours, where you periodically cut the lights, put on emergency lights if you have red lights, and you let everyone prepare to die. At the midpoint in this, near the climax, the soldier no longer can take it and commit suicide. This is the lowest point in the game, and for the rest of the game, it is about the players coming to terms with death. It is a fucking intense experience if you go into it. We had a
I just watched it because I wasn't feeling well enough to partake. It was just intense to watch quietly from the sideline. Like, to not be in that circle, but oh damn, it was intense to watch.
And I'm remembering it now too. Like, we were the place we were. There was this old rotary phone, I think.
Yeah, we found one in a drawer.
We found one in a drawer. So that became a prop to be like, can we get contact to the outside world? The answer was no, of course not. I think it was the soldier was like
It was your uncle. It was Michael from
Caitlin was my sister, and the soldier was Michael, our uncle, and so it was this whole thing, and I was just sobbing. I was crying. It was a whole thing.
Was it Caitlin or was it Winter?
It was Caitlin.
It was Caitlin.
I think Winter was ill. Winter was with us, but she had a stomach bug or something.
Oh, okay.
And so after game, we took 5 minutes, then we set up chairs in a circle. And people still had their makeup smeared. People still were shaking. And we sat there and we went around in a circle. And the rule was that everyone in the circle... Now, I talk a lot, if you couldn't tell. It's why I'm good in this seat, because I don't shut up. The rule was that everyone gets 3 minutes on a timer. During that time, nobody else talks. You can take your time whenever you want. We don't have to go in a circle. We can go with popcorn style, whoever wants to go next. But you get 3 minutes of unadulterated you time. You have to take it. You do not have to speak. We can just sit there in silence for a bit and process. That sounds awkward as hell, but it's actually really good. Because when you want to speak, you will speak. And everyone has to listen to you. And my God, if we didn't get some of the most interesting and heartfelt things. We've had players that had brushes with death before and had used this as a form of therapy. We had people who had used this as a metaphor for losing family members or distanced relationships with existing family members. But that conversation is incredibly important. So have debriefs. Talk and like actively listen. It really helps, and you'll learn more about your friends, which kind of makes you better friends, because most of us, like, we're Gen Xers, millennials, and Zoomers for the most part. We need friends because our families are weird, guys.
Yeah, and if you're in person and are happy to hug it out.
Yeah,
like,
hug it out.
When we had LARPs, like, there was sessions where we would be bawling during it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we would just hug it all out at the end. Like, I know I got in a basically physical fight with one of the guys because he played the thing of getting up in my face, and he did get so close that I did shove him just instinctually.
You shouldn't have done that.
I wasn't supposed to, but he was that close to me. So, and it was that angry sort of reaction that we then had to go and just be like, okay, afterwards, you cool, you're cool, okay, I'm cool, yeah, hug.
But like,
That's intense.
love each other. And the fun part about this is most of this crying. Yeah, the sarcophagus game was pretty rough. That's nothing like some of the mage games I've run. Remember the package? We're not going to talk about the package. Come back for Dork Expo if you want to hear about the package, which was a really great LARP experience set in Mage the Ascension, the Technocracy.
I'm pretty sure I ended up sitting there with like Millie and Kai and Amy and just hugging it the hell out after that.
That was a really good one.
That one was rough.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't on the rough side of that one. I was the package.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
I remember that.
Then we had another episode where I think the counter episode of that, we had a game of Technocracy. The Technocracy is all about keeping to the timeline, and humanity will get what it needs when it needs it for maximum efficiency, and so that everyone accepts it. And the players were tasked with hunting down some technocratic agents who had jumped ship. And as they are looking for these defectors, they find out that they are not just defectors, they have stolen a cure for cancer. And then as they keep looking, no, they didn't steal it, they invented it. And they're running because the Technocracy has told them to shelve their experiments. And they're like, but this cures like 30% of all known cancers. And the Technocracy says, yes, it does. We're not ready for it.
It's not
yet.
right, though.
Yeah, the time is not right. Humanity will not accept this yet. We do not have cancer curing slated until 2042 or something like that.
Stick to the timeline.
And the players had to go stop them and capture them, and if needed, kill them and destroy their research. And while destroying their research, which they did, they heard a voice command from their control network that said, good. Or so it was something that basically was like, I hate, or, oh God, how did it go? It was, I'm glad this went as well as the last 4 times, or something like that. And it was like, it was just the knife. You gotta, as a storyteller, your job is to sharpen the knife and stick, you know what? Your job is to blunt the knife as much as possible and rub it in lemon juice.
Oh.
And a little sprinkle of salt just for
like just basically make a margarita with your
garnish.
with your players' feelings.
And a few serrated edges just to really like on the way out when you pull it out.
So this is the kind of stuff you should do. You should definitely have fun and hurt your players as much as they are willing to be hurt. And players, be willing to be hurt.
Yep.
Fuck me
if
up,
you don't
fam.
fail, your successes don't feel as valid or as important.
Yeah. I am of the opinion that you should never succeed without losing something. It can be something small, like a hit point, part of an ear. But if you don't risk something, what's the point? And that's what you're going to get here on Dork Tales. So like and subscribe. This is going to be a really good game. Last things. Consent tools. We've done that. Limits of Twitch and live platform broadcast. Obviously, as much as I would love to run more historical games, I'm not going to run anything on Twitch that is going to have anything that would violate terms of service. I'm not even going to say some of these things because YouTube will be able to find out through their algorithms. There is not going to be any inappropriate relationships with, in game. That even if we ran a historical game where that thing was commonplace, like in ancient, Greece and Rome, I'm not going to do it online. I don't want that coming out of my mouth. I do not support it in the modern day. It is a fact of history, but hey, I'm not going to run that on Twitch. I'm not going to say certain words and slurs because I don't want to say them, and also I don't want to be, rightfully canceled for it, and taken out of context. I also am not going to probably run any games that look at certain groups from World War II in any favorable light if we ever go through that era. Because most of them, I would say, I'm going to say the entire organization does not deserve to be looked at favorably. And the few individuals in history who could be looked at more favorably, I don't want to give anybody ammunition to think I'm supporting them as a group. Period. So, and that's just because, no, this is the internet, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not stupid. I'm not smart, but I'm not that stupid, at least. So, we're going to have a lot of fun with that. Other things, like I said, with racism throughout time, I'm going to do my best to present something that is good without accidentally falling into a hole. There is a fantastic episode. If you go back and watch Doctor Who, watch the original episode of Doctor Who from 1953. It racist as hell. Because they go back in time and meet a bunch of indigenous people and proceed to listen to the Doctor for a long time, go on for, and I'm saying this in the context of the episode, extol the virtues and downsides of the Red Man. It was in the 1950s. Those type of things were, I mean, hell, I remember growing up when some of the stuff in the Peter Pan animated was far more...
I was gonna just say, yep. Peter Pan, man, it's like, ooh.
Oh, 63, not 53, thank you. But you go back and it's like, oh, damn. But hey, it doesn't fly these days, and nor should it. Oh, by the way, Cleveland's changing their name. Did you guys hear about that? Also, I say guys a lot. I mean guys as a gender neutral. I know it's bad. I'm working on it. So the Cleveland Indians are, as of 2022 or 2023, I forget which season, are going to be the Cleveland Guardians. They've changed their name willingly.
Okay.
Yeah, so
right,
hey,
that's what you meant.
That's something that happened. And James Gunn has said if their mascot's not a raccoon with a gun, he's going to be very upset.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
I think that's fine. Like, that's good. Good job, Cleveland. You did something right for a change. I lost the one viewer from Cleveland. No, you know how bad it is there. You got the museum and you've got Drew Carey. What else? What else? Come at me. You can't leave Ohio. It has a pull. It keeps your kind there.
What is happening?
Ohio is like...
Some sort of Americanism.
It's an American joke that you would... It's some American joke that you wouldn't understand.
I'm too Canadian.
You're too Canadian. Ohio is basically a circle of salt and iron filings for people from Ohio. They can't leave without being burned. It's like a devil's trap in the shape of Ohio.
Okay.
Oh, the rejected Cleveland Tourism Board videos are so good. Okay.
What?
So, do we want specific... Okay, so the last question I had is, do we want specific content warnings before each episode, or should we just have a blanket mature warning? So there's something to be said about this. The constant argument against content warnings is, for one, besides the people who say, oh, they're stupid and people should be tougher. No. You don't go into a Disney movie expecting to see, like, if you are from a place that experienced recent genocide, you don't go to a Disney movie expecting to see mass slaughter, for example. And when it shows up in your cereal, you will be surprised and upset, right? And there are times where trauma appears where you're not prepared. Mm-hmm. So that is wrong. I'm talking about the whole, like, it spoils it. Mm-hmm. There's also a counter to that, though, that if I say an episode is going to contain, like, themes of violence or say, like, sexualized violence is an easy one to bring into this, but that it will include that. But then it also has the dread factor where someone who might be sensitive to that might avoid the entire episode rather than look into it at all, because they're going to be constantly worried, like a jump scare type of thing, like that noise is going to be in the back of their soul, you know? So what do you think?
Well, I think if you're going to go into anything like that, it would probably be a conversation that we even as players would have, and I think that's a courtesy we should extend to our viewers as well.
A lot of people in the chat are asking for content warnings.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Specific ones?
Yeah.
So
Specific
we're gonna
ones.
do specific ones? Okay. So I will do, okay. If that is what, so I'm gonna base this on the chat that's in front of me. If you're watching on YouTube later or you're watching the VOD, feel free to leave comments or join us on our Discord. Post the Discord, Robin. So feel free to that. So yeah, Vancouver by Night, good to see you there. And episodes could include the following is a good way to do it, because that also means that I can freestyle a bit.
Yeah.
I think
Amy.
So at the same time, that then covers a blanket again.
So Amy was talking first, then Jen, then Christine.
Yeah. So I think we should do a bit of both. So there's a blanket warning of this is just a mature rated with these, like, there's going to be mature, like, language, violence, etc. This is just part of the package that this entire show has. If you're not comfortable with that, steer clear from the entire thing.
The package warning.
Have a package one. But also, if you're knowing that one episode in particular is going to be particularly harsh, that you know we're going to have themes of sexualized violence in this one specifically,
Yep.
preface that one and say, this one will, we will if you need a summary of what happened, we could maybe come up with that or something.
Sure, that sounds fantastic. So I'm going to put this out here real quick. Episode 1 is going to have themes of some brief trauma, mostly just told through like little flashes that aren't really going to amount to much. Suggested sexualized violence that's going to end with the exact opposite of that, which is a assaulter probably being exploded, and then will be mostly an action-adventure game besides that. Episode 2, if my timeline works, will include graphic, gruesome depictions of murder. Not yours, hopefully. You or any of you at home either. That will be there. But I'm just letting you know in advance. So, Amy, do you have anything to add to that? Then I'll pass it to Jen and then Christine.
I do have something to add to that, and I'm just thinking that if you want to break it down a little bit so that people know, like you're saying, it'll happen within the first X amount of time, roughly, if you have a timeline for the episode, or like, it'll happen, it'll be like, okay, it'll happen after the break or something like that, so that people can be like, okay, I'll watch until the break and then I'll take an X amount of walk time and come back later. Like, if we can do something like that, maybe.
Sure. I don't think it'll be needed in every episode, to be honest.
No,
I think that
not in everyone, but if there's anything.
Episode 2, there's gonna be a vivisected body, so that's gonna get pretty gross. Okay, Jen.
I was basically going to say the same thing as Amy, but just the having the specific warnings for the games stuff's going to come up in, and then the general mature content warning, and that should still let you freestyle a little bit. You just also know yourself that you haven't specifically warned against something, so maybe don't go too deep into it.
Yes, fair. And by the way, when I am, you know what, Christine, you go first before I say anything else. I've talked about.
I basically what Amy was saying was that, okay, we have the generalized warning for the game as a whole, and then maybe sexualized violence against children.
Yes, that was just brought up in the chat.
Specific animal cruelty, anything like that. That's really are well-known and common triggers for people. Having a specific warning for those that we give at the beginning of the game. However, that doesn't catch anybody who doesn't maybe manage to show up exactly when we start.
Well, and a lot of game tends to be improvised as well. For example, if you go and something occurs, it just occurs, and I can't warn for that, unfortunately. So that'll have to be covered by the package. The
only thing I could think of for that was if you wanted to try and do something like potentially a command, like a exclamation content warning, or something that you just updated with the specific ones for that particular game.
Is there a way to do that with a spoiler tag, Amy?
I don't know.
Can you look that up? Can I charge you with looking that up since you
something like that?
Something too.
And then what Robin mentioned in our private chat for YouTube specifically, doing the content warning in the description and including time codes so that people can still watch, and they know this particular chunk is going to contain the thing that bugs them. Or upsets them.
Now, with that stated, I need to make sure that I express something very clearly to the viewers right now. Just because I'm saying there is content here, I am a strong believer, both in my writing and in my performance, that understating something is more effective than overstating something. And understating means that you can get it into it as you want. Okay? So, for example, if there is a scene of violence or gore, it is much more useful to give vague descriptions than specific descriptions, because it's easier, A, to tune out if you don't want to hear it, and B, if you do want to hear it, your imagination will explain what happened to that poor guy than anything I can come up with. It'll be tailored to what makes you go ick. And you did it to yourself, not me. So I'm not going to go overboard. I'm not going to be like talking about the number of hairs on the back of this body's head, right? Like, that's stupid. I'm going to say, like, broad strokes, like a murder victim was cut from his navel to his throat and his organs were rearranged and there was a party kazoo put in his mouth. You know, I'm going to give you the cool stuff that you need to know. I'm not going to go so into detail that I'm going to make myself sick even.
Well, and honestly, in the end, the more you gloss over it, the more our own imagination will fill in the gaps and make it creepier.
Exactly. It's the
True.
I'm sorry to bring him up, but it's the Lovecraft approach, right? Like you let the imagination fill in the blanks. Let's not talk anymore about Lovecraft because that is a story. So yeah, that's gonna be good. And I think we'll do a generalized thing. I'm not gonna go super dark at times, but it will get dark. This game is going to have a lot of murder. It is going to have diabolism in it. It has several working titles, which are in a bin somewhere. I realized I was going to have them out for this. They're under my green screen. But it's going to be a fun ride, and I hope you stick with us on it. So finally, the last thing that we have to do is we are going to... I was convinced by Christine and I think Amy to do something for this. In our Werewolf the Forsaken game, I started every episode with a piece of fiction. These pieces of fiction evolved throughout the play. In Season 2, I used them to introduce antagonists so that they had additional weight, and so that... You know what I said about jump scares a while ago? About how you hear that note building and building and building? If I tell you that an enemy's coming before you know it, you have time to marinate. I've been convinced to do this on select episodes. In fact, the entire story, being that it's back in time, is going to exist under a framing narrative that some longtime Mage fans will be very, very excited to hear, I think. Given that my current writing gigs are primarily writing fiction for the Chronicles of Darkness, like Storyteller's Vault, is kind of my wheelhouse right now. Especially because I write a lot of stuff, including canonized characters. So I think you're going to like that. With that in mind, each season or story arc is going to be a book. That's the way we're going to do it. And chapter names are going to be things like wherein four women meet under unusual circumstances. Or wherein Horizon explodes and then reforms on the back of a turtle. Or
Excellent.
things like that. We're going to use Victorian titling for the episodes if I can fit them on the damn screen, because Victorian titles are sometimes 30 words long.
Yep.
It's just just read the damn chapter, man. It's 2 pages. It's not 2 It's never 2 pages.
The title's half the chapter, yeah.
The title's half the chapter, and it's a summary of the chapter so that you know whether or not you want to read the chapter. But so the book is going to be the book. But book 1, I have several names for this. So book 1 of this, I wanted y'all to weigh in on it. Predominantly the players. Was that... See, I can't check the messages right now. So... oh, everybody has to pee. Okay.
Which negates the point of a private chat, but okay.
Yeah.
I have to pee. There, just me. Okay. Okay.
Oh my
God. In which...
Since Robin's gone.
Yeah, since you're going, you go. Anyway, so let's just vamp for a bit.
Yeah, sir. Yep.
Okay, so, by the way, I just want to say thank you all for being out here. We've got a strong following of about 60 people in here right now talking about Mage.
Pretty rad.
Yeah, that's impressive for a session 0 where we're not actually playing the game.
I guarantee next week is going to be dope. I've been working on the soundtrack.
I'm so looking forward to my wig.
Still.
I need to. I'm hoping it works.
Okay, yeah. I will try to check that out. These games are going to be rad. They're going to be... you'll see yourself out. You can stick around, Ravnos, unless you have to pee. So next Saturday is when it's going to begin. It's going to be fully costumed. I have to finish my costume because I don't know what the hell I'm wearing. I've got so much Victorian crap now.
At least my costume is actually very simple. It is a shirt and a wig.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a shirt
and I have-
and a vest and a wig. And I'll figure out some makeup because I was looking up that.
You got a fan?
I have.
You also have a fan.
So,
Excellent. Wait, where's mine?
so chat, sweet minkers. If you look, actually, all of our games except for one are costumed, so you might like that. We have a lot of really good cosplayers in our group, and some professional cosplayers, and some just habitual ones. We've got a drag queen as well, former drag queen. I don't know if he still does drag. We've got a couple drag kings as well, but they don't really practice anymore.
I also have other stuff that I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna actually
I hope you'll like
use it or not in game, or to do with my magic potentially. They're not very good. They're very cheap, but
Oh, excellent. Those are great.
yeah,
Those are pretty
But
good.
yeah, here, let me see if I
they're
can get
really
that.
shitty. They really
Did you get the flip?
they don't want to bend very well. The thing
Welcome
is
back,
that-
Robin. You're going to PM me now, and then I'm going to have to go through the entire rigmarole again, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to explain something that is kind of personal that I don't
Okay.
really want to go for the
Oh,
YouTube chat.
so I shouldn't read it out to the audience. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, no. Here's one of my props.
You've just been elected to Parliament.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
I got these gloves.
So, regardless, I'm going to wrap some stuff up in a sec. Welcome back, Jen. So I'm going to wrap this up in a sec, but I wanted to say real quick, we need to come up with a name for the game. So I have a couple that I would like to suggest. One is to call book one The Peculiar if I can actually pronounce the damn thing. The Peculiar Year. And that, if you look at the screen right now, it's going to go right in that blank space there. So, you see down at the bottom there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's gonna go in that blank space. So, The Peculiar Year, which I am not great at saying. The other one that the Peculiar Epoch is the other one, but it seems a little too pretentious even for the Victorian era. The other is The Devil and the Doves. And if you are a fan of my Mage the Ascension games, meaning if you're the players of the Mage the Ascension games, you will understand how weighted that unassuming word is. Jen just completely went. I'm gonna say that Jen
I'm also
stood
here.
up straight at the word dove, but
I did not, but I was trying to sit
No.
up so it was better in frame, but
The moment you first suggested that one, I was like,
is it the devil and the doves or the doves and the devil?
I preferred the devil and the doves.
Yeah.
oh, Theon just got it.
In Mage, there is always a dove. There is always a what was the other part of that? There's always a city. There's always a lighthouse. Is what it is in BioShock. And in my Mage games, there's always the doves and always that other thing, which we'll talk about later. The clearest and catchy.
Yeah, when you first wrote that one in our other chat, I was like, I love this, and then I was like, is it too much? And then I went back. I'm like, no, I love this.
Oh, okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was too much.
It's
Okay,
good.
so then
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Michael to put up that in and do any last minute tweaks on our frames. So first off, thank you very much to Michael, who you might know as Sylvester Slays on Twitch. You also might know him as Zan the Plan in our Curse of Strahd game. You might know him as not Rain. You might know him. It's been a while since we've played Cyberpunk. You might know him as Vale Fender in Cyberpunk Red on this channel. You might also know him very soon as a character in the upcoming Deadlands game, because we're starting a new campaign or chronicle basically about every month. So July is Mage. August, technically early September, is Deadlands, and then mid-September is our Wild Beyond the Witchlight Dungeons and Dragons game.
He was
with-
also in Aberrant.
Oh yeah, and he was also in Aberrant. So if you've watched him on the onyxpath, he was Donnie, also known as Ignition. Anyway, Michael's a fantastic guy, and he does all of our graphic design here. And honestly, we could not do this we could do this without him, but my God, it would be ugly.
We would not look nearly as good.
Go back and see what it used to look like when we played around a round table, and it was quaint. It was quaint. We had a look for podcasting, to say. So thank you very much, Michael, for doing that for us. I also want to thank Eve, who I don't believe they are watching right now, but the artist who did the art in the photos. The art of Mr. Dashwood is coming shortly, because I had that commissioned as well. And
Nice.
it is going to be fantastic. I've seen some shorts. The dude looks so foppish. And I have my top hat in the other room.
I'm so excited.
Also, I love how we look on Twitch in the portraits.
Yeah, they're really good, right?
yeah.
And I'll show you after this what the thumbnails look like. So that's going to be fantastic. So, folks, that is probably a good place as any to call it here. Thank you for sitting with us and listening about game and why we're hyped about this. This game is going to run... probably into November. I don't know. We're gonna do this organically. I'm just basically dedicating my Saturdays to this. The schedule, so that you are aware of it, is we are running on the 31st. We are running on the 7th, I think it is, chronologically. And so we've got 2 games to get you hyped, and then we're away for 2 weeks. So sorry about that. Christine and I are going on vacation, and then the week we get back, you are going to be able to join us for Extra Life in August. And if you liked what we do here, you're going to love what we do for Extra Life, because we are running 11 games over 3 days for the Tabletop Appreciation Weekend. All proceeds from that are going to be raised for the BC Children's Hospital as part of the Children's Miracle Network. Last year, we raised $15,000 for these kids, but we were weak back then. And this year, we're going to raise 20.
Which I think I managed to hit 800 last year, so I think I need to go for gold and go for 1,000.
You need to go for gold, so it'll be really good. You hope you come for that. It'll be a bunch of one-shots. There's like all sorts of games ran by different Dork Tales team members. It's going to be really great. At the very least, it's a lot of fun. If you like what we do here as well, please give us a follow. It makes me feel good to see our numbers go up. Go over on YouTube. Give us a sub over there, because it makes me feel good to see that go up. And if you want to support the stream monetarily, you may do so through subscriptions here on Twitch. You can also, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription through Twitch Gaming once a month. You have to refresh it every month. But it's money that is already there. It costs you nothing and costs Jeff Bezos a few bucks that keep him out of space. So keep Jeff Bezos on Earth by giving Dork Tales money. God damn, that rocket. That rocket. Second biggest dick in... Never mind. I'm gonna get banned off Twitch if I complain about Jeff. And we also have a Patreon, which you can come support us at, with additional perks, which are rolling out very soon. It's been really busy getting Candlekeep Mysteries done and getting this game set up. I love all you patrons, and I hope to appease you soon like angry gods. But seriously, we can't do anything here at Dork Tales without you. I really appreciate all of you. Even if you can't afford to support financially, know that we're never going to have anything behind a paywall, because we're here doing stuff because I want to share it with you, and so do the players. We hope that this game is going to be very cathartic, very fun, very exciting, and maybe a little bit historically interesting. We'll bring up stuff about pineapples that you might not have heard of, because they're fun. And am I changing my hair for Extra Life? I don't know, Saffron. How much money you giving me?
Which, I mean, Saffron, if you don't want to, change Kelly's hair, you could pick my hair color for November.
I have potentially, we may potentially be running a hot tub stream, if we earn enough money.
Maybe not.
No, maybe not.
No, apparently it's got a leak.
Oh, the hot tub?
So if
Okay.
David only uses it once a year, then they're not going to repair it.
What if we duct tape it?
So it might be gone by then.
Can you rent a hot tub?
Probably not, because
We will find someone with a hot tub. We'll talk. We'll see what we can do. With that would be for November anyway, actually. So folks, be sure to join the Discord as well, so you can see all the cool stuff we're doing. We use it as a hub for all of the Dork Tales team members who stream their own stuff, video games and other stuff. And I would love to see you on there. I'm occasionally on there, and usually just getting blown away by cool stuff. If you want to reach us, that's a great way to do it. And what else should I say?
Well, we just had a hype train income, so we can't end yet.
So it's going to be
We did
really
this
great.
hype train.
We're gonna run Mage. If I run
So hype for Mage.
If I run more Mage, then I will have to run more Mage, and then who knows what I will run. What's this technocracy all over my shirt?
I don't know. It's catching. I think it's catching.
It's sensually transmitted at the very least.
Oh my god.
I also have one of those.
Oh, and so because I didn't explain it at the beginning of the stream, and the onyxpath are, if you are still here, I'm gonna tell you a quick story about this shirt before you leave, Ian. So a couple years ago, back in 2015, oh god, that was 6 years ago, I ran a long technocracy game using some of the early pre-M20 technocracy things that had been published. We learned about Everett volumes and alternate dimensions, and I decided that I wanted to run one final Mage LARP, because I'd been running Mage LARPs for about a decade at that point. And I decided what I'd do is I would get every Mage game out of my system by running an alternate world game, where the characters would get forced to travel, like in the Sliders show, from world to world, collecting things in order to stop a catastrophe. This was the show United We Stand. The game United We Stand. Oh, did you? Those convention books are dope as hell. I actually met the author, like the dev that was working on them at a local con. Seemed like a really cool guy. I wrote a patch for the Iteration X book, because the Iteration X convention book never got a revised edition. So I wrote a patch, because it's at X, of course I'm gonna call it a patch, and I promised I'd send it to him, and I did that thing where I was like, oh, I forgot is what happened. So this is the t-shirt we had commissioned afterward, and because it was an alternate world game,
Yep.
these are
There it is.
every single world we went to.
Yep.
Set up
There it
like a tour shirt.
Yep.
And these shirts are dope. Everybody from the game still has theirs.
Yep.
And my dog's barking at me. And
How was that 2015?
Right?
Like 2014 when
Right.
it started, right? Wasn't it?
No, it was 2015 when it started.
It was 2015 when it started, okay.
One
Yeah.
sec. I'm going to show you the best part of all from this game that will explain to you how much my damn players get into these mage games.
Oh, I know what you're pulling out.
Oh no. Oh.
Okay, I have both of them. Nice. So, even before I was streaming on Twitch, I like to run my role-playing games like movies or TV seasons. What is the... I don't know. This is a fake backdrop. This is a green screen. I don't live in a place this nice. I always put it on when I'm having meetings so that people think I'm important. So,
Love
I
your
always...
apartment. It's great.
I know, right? My bougie apartment. It's
Like,
so...
you like mine?
Oh my God. It's so
yeah,
bougie.
I like mine.
So,
Yeah, it was just...
We're in the same place, Amy. I'm just in a different room.
So many books in mine.
It's true. So I always run my I always run my games like TV shows, where I try to make sure that there's spotlighting and that there's meaning that characters get, center of attention, and that things are fun. In one episode of this alternate reality sliding game, the characters went to Earth. Our Earth, in fact, where this game was a TV show on Netflix that was, and what I did
Streamo?
on Streamo, that's our proprietary software, proprietary show, and the characters were all playing the actors that played them, because I had them all pick characters. I had them pick actors before the game to represent their characters for photoshopping and things like that, and so they all had to play their actors playing themselves, being played by the person that had quantum leaped into their bodies, basically. And I said it during Vancouver Fan Expo, because of course it was filmed in Vancouver, because everything is filmed in fucking Vancouver. Okay, so hold on, it gets even better. Okay,
Oh my God.
and apparently onyxpath thinks that you live in LaCroix's office at the top of Ventrue Tower in LA, which is accurate. That is accurate.
Fair.
Don't open the sarcophagus unless you want a surprise.
Okay.
So they had to do that, and I booked a bunch of my friends, because I'm big in the convention scene around here, so I got as many fangirls as I could, and we had Q&A sessions with them in front of the room. And because my friend Michael, the graphic designer, is wonderful, we had a signing party as well. So I would like to present to you the Season 1 box set of this game, signed by the cast, right? And the Season 2, signed by the cast, which includes... It's so good. Which includes, the Technocratic Chronicles, and, Don't Go Mad, Get Even. This was the Marauder season. So, Return to the explosive series that has captivated viewers around the world. This 5-disc collection contains every twist, turn, and secret of United We Stand Season 2, including never-before-seen footage and special features from the cast and crew. The walls of reality shudder under the onslaught of marauders, mages driven mad by their own power, and the technocracy has no choice but to respond with all their might. Villains will rise, heroes will fall, and loved ones will perish in the crossfire as the characters uncover the world-shattering truth that will change everything forever. 5-disc collector's edition. In the lab with Stephanie Leonidas and Freya Tingley. The Creatures of United We Stand. These are the bulleted bonus features. Remaking Reality, the special effect and design of Dark Lore Creative. United We Stand Confidential. Sneak previews of Season 3. Alternate endings for Season 2's breathtaking conclusion. Clive Owen and Lee Bingbing on their futures with United We Stand because they were cast as actors. An exclusive look at Wake Up Seattle, the upcoming comic book tie-in from Mithril Media Press. Oh God, so good. We're so dorky here. He still wants to do he needs to do season 3, damn it. Because we ran for, how many seasons? We ran for 5 seasons. Because I broke everything up into seasons like a TV show. It was, I could have ran 6 seasons of the movie. And then the first one was from the creator of the cult hit The Ascension, which was the previous tradition LARP, comes an all-new series. 13 years have passed since the Technocratic Union defeated the 9 mystic traditions and seized dominion over reality. That's what they think. In the wake of tragedy, the leaders of Seattle's control have recruited a host of new agents from around the globe to replace their fallen, but nothing is as it seems. Now these new recruits find themselves facing down magical terrorists, seductive vampires, rampaging terrorists. I redid terrorist twice. Internal corruption and the worst of all, their own pasts. 5-disc collector's edition contains all extended episodes of United We Stand Season 1. All new United We Stand roundtable. Lunch with a special word from the cast of The Ascension. 4 behind-the-scenes featurettes, including technocratic hardware, science of magic, and more. Audio commentary by series creator Kelly Clark, Alice Cooper, Clive Owen, and more. Alice Cooper was Michael's actor. Tons of deleted scenes, gag reels, edition tapes, and Season 2 spectaculars, and more. Outside, oh my God, I forgot that this is here. Oh my God, I'm fanboying over my own shit. There is a quote at the bottom. Outshines its predecessor in every way. More of a companion piece than a sequel. This is how The Ascension should have become, because the thing is, the previous LARP was supposed to be like quite a long one, and I ended up getting a job in Japan and had to cut it, like compress the ending into like 3 episodes. So we got canceled, was the joke. And this is from Terry Luz of Fangoria, who is my fucking vampire character that I used to record all of those fake radio bits for a previous LARP, Jen. You remember Terry Luz? Terry Luz, After Dark. God.
Yeah.
Who did the voices? Erica did the voices for that. They were so good. I still have those. Oh my God. So anyway, thank you for watching this show, and thank you for watching United We Stand. Oh.
God damn it.
Oh,
it was fun.
man.
Characters were
Actually,
not
Vancouver
okay.
by Night. Actually, one of the characters, Chris's character, went and binged the entire show while they were in that world, because they were hour-long episodes. He watched everything and learned stuff about his backstory and about other characters that changed his entire narrative.
Yep. He was basically allowed to go around and ask us questions, and we had to tell him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was great. It was so good. It was a fantastic episode, and I got to play myself as a complete douchebag rather than just a half douchebag. Man, that guy had a drinking problem, and was really fat. He was really out of shape. Like, he was like 2009 Kelly out of shape. Don't go 2009 Kelly out of shape. Be 2019 Kelly. 2019 Kelly was a good vintage, like right before COVID. Oh man, my ass was looking so good. I was Elos's ass. Anyway, but no, it was amazing. Like they totally did that, and it was fantastic. It was a really good LARP. It was good. I love the ending. It would take too long to explain, but the entire ending. Oh
There
my
was
God.
a lot that happened.
The ending was so good. The ending, my favorite part of the ending wasn't even the ending. It was what happened with Forrester, because the villain broke reality in order to get the life that he thought he deserved. And when he he got it. He went up to the door to be with the woman that he was inselling for. Let's be fair. That he was standing for, and he almost had it, and then he realized that he didn't deserve it. And
it got pointed out to him before that.
Yes, but that is the point of Mage. It's hubris, and he had to learn it for himself. Damn it. So, like, that was the important part, was that he made it there. The entire game had just been part of his evil plan, and then at the end he's like, oh, balls. And then he survived and escaped and has made a couple of appearances in other games, including Hunter the Vigil. Because he's played by James Spader, and you can't kill James Spader. He's invincible. But yeah, it is fantastic. I love Mage the Ascension. I love everything you can do with it, and I love the humanism at its core. We are going to have a frickin' phenomenal game. It's going to be heckin' wonderful. You're going to learn all about spheres, and I'm just going to wait till Robin gets back, and...
check the chat.
Oh, should I? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's back.
All right.
Hi.
Hi. All right, so folks, that is going to be it for us tonight. We love you very much. We will see you in 1 week. But hey, we run a lot of stuff here on Dorkdale, so come watch other stuff too. And if this is your first time playing with the World of Darkness, good luck.
It'll be fun.
We love you very much. Good night, everybody.